Dun, 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 dun. Star Wars, nothing but Star Wars. Wherever you are, Wars. Du, 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 du. Good evening, everyone, or good morning, or good afternoon, or wherever you're from. Hello, and welcome to this Hangouts, long overdue, on Star Wars Episode 8, The Last Jedi, directed by Rian Johnson, released 2017, so kind of released last year, but actually released
Yeah,
2 months ago, Christmas.
actually, three months ago now, since it's February, so we're reviewing it a quarter of a year later.
Well, no, 2 months, isn't it?
Well,
You
it
know,
came out December,
yeah.
and
Well, it came out middle of December. Well, anyway, it doesn't matter. Um, so yeah, I'm here today with Jack, Alan, and Harry. Today, as you know, we're going to talk about The Last Jedi and give our thoughts on that. At the very end, we're going to talk about the trailer for Solo, a Star Wars story, the next Star Wars movie, in brief at the very end. So I'm going to kick this off with Harry, because I think Harry is kind of on his own in this hangout, really, with his opinions. So, Harry, um, with every expectation of a rant, what did you think of The Last Jedi?
Well, let's get to the most divisive Star Wars movie yet. I have never seen a more divisive Star Wars movie. Seriously, I mean, I The Last Jedi sucks. Just kidding. I don't hate it. I like it, but at the same time, The Last Jedi for me is not as amazing as it could have been. It's the most underwhelming Star Wars movie, in my opinion. It failed to live up to the hype, and I'm someone who loved and greatly defended The Force Awakens. It's my favorite Star Wars movie, and I thought Rogue One was overrated, and I still like Last Jedi more than Rogue One because this actually has a story and characters that I care about. So I I I'm extremely torn about this movie, and man, I have a lot to say. So let's get right into my positives. The best thing about this movie are the performances from Daisy Ridley, Mark Hamill, and Carrie Fisher. Daisy Ridley is she kills this as Rey in
would
this
it would
movie.
it be would it be too brash to say she's a ray of sunshine?
Rey of Sun, exactly.
Someone got it.
Yep. She, yep. She continues to be the strong leader that the sequel trilogy deserves, and Mark Hamill is simply incredible as Luke Skywalker. I believe this is the best performance of Mark Hamill's entire career, and
He's definitely very different in this movie than he is in the original trilogy.
exactly. He's a much darker character than he's no longer the whiny Luke from Tatooine who went to Toshi Station to pick up some power converters. He's now he's now matured into this hermit who just come to this island to die because he's been through shit while trying to train Kylo Ren
yeah.
in the past.
Sorry to interrupt you, Harry, but is it me? But does it look? Does it kind of feels like the way Luke as a character has sort of matured is kind of the same way Mark Hamill is as well? Because like when you see him in the interviews for A New Hope, he's a very young, sort of enthusiastic person, and you see him in interviews now he's quite cynical and stuff, kind of like Luke in the franchise. Like, um,
Oh yeah, yeah. He's certainly, well, Mark Hamill's certainly maturing with age, and even though Mark Hamill fundamentally disagreed with Luke's portrayal in this movie, he gives it 110%.
Well, actually, sorry to interrupt. He disagreed with it at first, but after he saw the movie, he understood then why it happened the way it did. But he was definitely unsure about it. But Rian Johnson defended his choice for his direction for Luke, and I think in the end it works personally. But obviously, you may disagree.
Yeah, right. Yeah, yeah, I do think this portrayal of a darker Luke did work, but Mark Hamill, well, an awesome job, and none the less, and and Carrie Fisher, she's wonderful as Leia in this movie. This is also the best performance of her entire career, and certainly her most emotional. She's still dealing with the loss of her husband Hun, and her son's still on the dark side. And she's doing everything she desperately can to keep the surviving members of the resistance alive. Shame she's in a coma for almost the entire movie, but I'll get to that in my negatives. And the movie, it looks gorgeous. It has some original planets, and the Porgs are simply adorable. They're better than yep, they're everything the Ewoks should have been. And I just it's a and I just love the moment when, I mean, when Chewie is roasting a Porg, and then the others are looking at their puppy dog eyes, and I'm like, Chewie, you cold heartless bastard! One of those things.
That was a funny scene.
Yeah, that was hilarious.
You know, actually, Harry, you know the scene when one of them is like pressing its foot on the lightsaber. I actually wondered if he actually did press down on it and killed the other Porg next to him. If the lightsaber extended and it went.
Oh, whoa! Yeah, yeah. Now that would be some dark comedy there.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. I'm surprised. I'm surprised that didn't happen, but yeah, right. And I do. Yeah, and yeah, right. I do. I do think that I am relieved that this movie actually has an opening crawl, unlike Rogue One, where they wrongly removed the opening crawl.
Well, I mean, if you think about it, Rogue One is essentially the whole movie is an open crawl. It's episode 4.
Oh yeah. Well, I guess it's the first few paragraphs before A New Hope. Yeah, I can see that. But I was relieved to see the opening call back, and John Williams delivers a phenomenal score as always. Adam Driver did a stellar job as Kylo Ren. His character goes through such a intriguing and compelling a character arc in this movie, and I like how Kylo doesn't wear his mask for the majority of the run time, so that we actually see the conflict brewing within him.
Or you can understand what he's saying as well.
Oh yeah, his voice doesn't sound like a Vader ripoff. Exactly. And although I'm afraid that's where the positives end. Now let's get to my negatives and the things where Rian Johnson just fucked up. You see, it was a huge mistake firing J.J. Abrams from this movie and hiring Rian Johnson.
They didn't fire him. He
wasn't fired.
He wasn't fired.
Oh, he wasn't?
Well, he's coming back for episode 9, so if they fired him, he wouldn't be returning.
Oh yeah. Well, yeah, he isn't fired. My mistake. But J.J. Abrams leaving, Rian Johnson coming in. It's as if Rian Johnson, he's like, no, I don't like what J.J. Abrams sets up. Fuck that. I'm just going to make this story my own. And it clearly shows here the theories that fans have been, anticipating for 2 years. I'm going to repeat, 2 years aren't resolved. They're resolved unsatisfyingly for me. I like the biggest disappointment was the character of Snoke. Don't get me wrong, Snoke is awesome in the 2 scenes he has, and Andy Serkis is still the king of motion capture performances.
Yeah.
He's still extraordinary, and when Snoke, in the moment when Snoke is saying to Kylo, you'll never be like Vader, you suck, and then he shoots Sith lightning out of his fingers. I was like, holy shit, that's freaking awesome. But does he ever use his Sith lightning again? Nope, never after that scene. So, and you know what? There's hardly any of Snoke in this movie. I mean, he's even more wasted here than he was in Force Awakens. In Force Awakens, there was this great build-up and mystery surrounding him, and I was praying for him to be Darth Plagueis. I was praying for him to get a vital role, and yet Rian Johnson does nothing with him. And
yeah, maybe we could have found out a bit more about him before they killed him. But
well, when you say they wasted him, he was in this film more than The Force Awakens. I mean, all he was in The Force Awakens was a hologram. That was it. But fair enough.
well, yeah, he at least we see him in presence, but even
well, actually, Harry, no, he's got 3 scenes in this movie because at the very beginning, his face holographically appears before Hux, and then Hux throwing him around.
Oh yeah, and the moment when he throws Hux on the floor and he's like, "My disappointment in your performance cannot be overstated." Yeah, so 3 scenes. Yeah, he's great in them, but I just wish they hadn't removed Snoke and Kylo Ren's training scenes, which they set up in Force Awakens. In the cliffhanger, Snoke was like, "Leave the base at once and come to me with Kylo Ren. It is time to complete his training." And yet he never freaking trains Kylo in this entire movie. So,
well, I think we're led to believe he's manipulating him because he said, "Oh, you know, you were beaten by a girl with a lightsaber. You'll never be like Vader." So, I guess he was using that to just try and get ready.
Yeah, but not only that, but this film takes some time. This film takes place some time after Force Awakens, so I assumed he'd trained him in that time anyway.
Well, no, it's meant to be directly after The Force Awakens, if I'm not mistaken, straight away.
Exactly, it's meant to be directly after, and they cut out what they set up in the previous movie. So yeah, that was a letdown. But worst of all, they kill off Snoke. What the fuck? Rian Johnson, you don't kill off the primary antagonist in the middle of the trilogy. That's crazy. And so he gets no backstory, no reveal. They just kill him off like he was never important to the plot anyway. And then and the other unsatisfying reveal is the fucking reveal of Rey's parentage. I wanted Rey to be Luke's daughter. I wanted Rey's mother to be a Jedi, and yet her parents just turn out to be some junk traders from Jakku that they're nobodies, basically. I'm like,
allegedly. I mean, maybe Kylo just said that. I mean, we don't know yet, but I reckon that's just a stunt he's pulled just to get to dark side.
I know, but I just want to say though, like, that didn't bother me because I mean, even like when you're saying like it didn't live up to the fan theories or whatever, like Rian Johnson isn't gonna do his film based on the fan theories. He's not gonna, you know, I mean, that's not what the film was about. It was basically about his interpretation or like his basically a sequel to The Force Awakens. He wasn't going to answer. He wasn't going to do it like because fan theories like said that she was. Look, I mean, I mean, speak for himself. I liked it because it kind of subverted your expectations. Because I think if they went with the whole she's Luke's daughter thing, it would have been too obvious. Like,
yeah.
I mean, the Skywalker story is done. You know, it was done with Return of the Jedi.
Yeah, with Luke.
Yeah.
But no, Harry, I mean, in your defense, I do understand your criticism because you are a diehard fan of The Force Awakens. So for you, obviously, killing him off, having him killed off, it is a bit of a blow because, I mean, even I wanted to know more about Snoke, which is a slight shame, although I do think the scene is very good, the way it was done. I do think, well, maybe Snoke's importance in the story has kind of been short-lived, but oh well. It's, you know, you have to take it how you will.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I mean. Fans of Force Awakens were the ones who were who were underwhelmed by this movie, myself included. And by the way, how the hell did Caylow could have said that her parents were nobodies, but how the hell does he know who they are to begin with? Was he there on Jakku when they abandoned her or something?
No, I mean, I think he's just had a vision of them, like through the Force. I think that's what he was implying.
Oh yeah, he saw them through the Force. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, and
because they were connected.
Oh yeah, when they talked exactly. Oh, and also the fucking Canto Bite subplots, I freaking hated it. It was 100% filler. It served no purpose. It was 30 minutes of total filler. If you'd remove the Canto Bite scenes from this movie, it would make no difference to the plot. So I mean, it was. And the character of Rose, don't get me wrong, I like her, and Kelly Mary Tran is certainly showing charisma, but they did with her what I was praying they wouldn't do. They make her Finn's love interest. I mean, it should have been Rey and Finn. I ship Rey and Finn, and they even hint that Rey may end up with. They even hint that Rey may end up with Poe Dameron at the end. That's ridiculous. Don't make Rey end up with Poe. Don't make Finn.
I mean, they don't even meet till the end of this film.
well, to be honest, like on your criticism of that, you could say the same thing with the original trilogy, like that Luke should have ended up with Leia, but she ended up with Han instead. I mean, that didn't really annoy me. Like,
you want incest?
There's nothing that in the Force.
But Rey.
I know, but they didn't. I know, but they didn't. They didn't write that in till The Empire Strikes Back. Like you could have had. What I'm saying is like it's not written into the film that she needs to be like with she needs to be with Finn. Like it wasn't like written into The Force Awakens that they were gonna be together anyway. But
I think it's better to have them as friends. It's so cliche just to have them be romantically involved. I mean, it's like you don't need that for every big series. I mean, Attack of the Clones, that much to our dismay, that had to happen because otherwise, no Anakin and Padme, no Luke and Leia. But these could have gone either ways. I mean, this trilogy shouldn't be focusing on the love triangles. It should just be about the other things. Whether people fall in love is another matter. But I didn't mind the Finn and Rose story. I mean, it was only one line that they kind of expressed at the end when she kissed him. But,
when she's like, it's not about fighting the things we hate, it's saving the things we love. That line, it was cringeworthy.
Did you like more cheese with that?
Yeah, I'm like Rian Johnson. I can't believe you wrote that. I mean, Finn and Rose's romance, it's so forced. It makes, even Padme and Anakin's romance is more convincing.
No.
I don't even know if you call it romance yet. It's not romance just yet. I mean, even Finn was surprised when she kissed him.
Whoever said romance was dead.
Even if it was a romance, I'm sorry, but the dialogue in Attack of the Clones, ugh. I can't believe that.
I mean, at least you didn't say to Finn, I truly, deeply love you.
Not only that, but it's like Anakin is such a creep. Like, why would you fall for him? He's like, oh, I've been dreaming about her the last 10 years. Being around her again is, being around her again. Her presence is intoxicating. That guy, you need to get a restraining order against, not, flipping marry him.
I'd rather have fucking Anakin and Palpatine get together than fucking Anakin. Oh, I like everything soft and smooth. Unlimited sex. Oh, sorry, Harry. Sorry.
Yeah.
That's a good one. I like that.
Me too. And also Captain Phasma completely wasted. She gets one scene.
I'll give you that. Yeah, that was a missed opportunity.
Yeah, I know, right? In fact, it's General Hux that should have been killed off, not Captain Phasma. I mean, Captain Phasma's far
Yeah.
cooler
To
and
be
more.
fair though, Huck's got much more to do in this.
Yeah.
He did in the Force Awakens, which I'm glad about. He was really good in this one.
Well, yeah. At least he got more to do, and so they did fix that. And also, I will give them this another character that they gave more screen time. And the one minor thing this movie improved over Force Awakens was giving Poe Dameron a bigger role, for
Yeah.
one thing, and he's in it a lot more than I thought he'd be. And I loved his relationship with Laura Dern's Admiral Holdoff. It was actually one of the more interesting parts of the movie for me. Yep, and and uh, and people have been giving producer Kathleen Kennedy so much backlash online just for including more female characters into the Star Wars sequel trilogy. But I'm like, you guys are just being sexist.
Yeah, why the fuck not?
Yeah, yeah, exactly. If you have a problem with this movie, blame Rian Johnson. He wrote the
yeah. I mean, Harry, sorry to interrupt. On that subject about the female characters, I was talking to Alan, I was talking to Jack about this before the hangout. You know, it works with Star Wars because these characters are new characters. They're not pre-established like the Doctor. So this is why it works. And the female characters that they've had have been very good. I mean, would you agree?
Yeah, exactly. They've been so strong, and so people are just complaining because they're sexist or for the sake of it. So if you have a problem with this movie, blame Rian Johnson, not Kathleen Kennedy, because he wrote the script and actually directed it. But and also and finally, the ending of The Last Jedi, it sucks balls. It's the worst Star Wars ending I have ever seen.
Really?
I was left livid by this ending. The Battle of Crate, because the story after they killed off Snoke and they made Kylo Ren the Supreme Leader, which was a dumb decision. I think Kylo should have turned to the light in this movie, and Rey should have turned to the dark. That's the direction I would have taken it. But
yeah. Because the trailer gives that illusion that is what's going to happen, but obviously it doesn't.
I'm glad they didn't, because it'd be like if Luke turned to the dark side. It'd be like, what's the point of having this new trilogy if all the people are just going to become Sith? Like, the Empire's won, but
well,
fair enough.
Well, yeah, I do see that, but I just thought it would have been interesting direction. But no, the Battle of Crate, the Battle of Crate underwhelmed me, and when Luke steps out and he's projecting himself through a Force hologram, and then Kylo steps out to fight him, the lightsaber duel, it sucks. This is the most anticlimactic lightsaber fight I've ever seen. It's just Kylo swinging his lightsaber at Luke and Luke ducking. There's barely any combat.
I will agree with you there, Harry. The fight isn't very good, but I do like the confrontation itself. But the fight is poor. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. At least there was some good drama, but lack of combat and the way they killed off Luke just upset me when he's just staring into the sunsets and then just disappears. It's never explained how he dies. Well, I guess he just ran out of energy projecting himself all the way to Crater. But
that's the explanation.
Sorry to interrupt you, Harry, but like, did you really think that his death was bad? Because I actually thought it was. First time. The second time I watched it, I thought it was really good because it's basically
better than Han.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. You have it coming full circle. You have them looking up into the sunset with the binary sunset music from A New Hope. I thought that was a great way to end his character, like for me anyway, because it just brought it full circle for New Hope. But yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's awesome. If there are those who do like Luke's death, it is controversial, but I just again would have done it differently. And the final shot of this movie where you have the kid from Canto Bight staring up into the stars and he has the Force apparently. That's just Rian Johnson setting up his new trilogy in this one. I'm like, Rian, that doesn't
Well,
belong.
we don't really know that for sure, do we? This kid could be in episode 9.
Oh yeah, he could play a role in episode 9. We have yet to to find out. But so overall, guys, the Last Jedi, I like the film, but I but I have I've never had this. I've never had more extremely mixed feelings on a Star Wars movie in my entire life. This was my most underwhelming movie of 2017 for me. I was I was beyond hype for it. The trailers even looked awesome, especially that second trailer, which I constantly replayed. And when I finally saw the movie, my expectations weren't met and the theories just weren't answered. The people who hated Force Awakens, I feel, will love this movie. So I guess and I'm glad the critics do love it. It has like a 90% on Rotten Tomatoes, but the audience score is far lower with 56%, which goes to show how divisive this movie
it's literally
is.
Split right down the middle.
Exactly. So yeah, I am going to rate The Last Jedi a fair 7 out of 10 and 3.5 stars out of 5.
Ooh. Oh dear. Not good. Oh well. I mean, at least you liked it to a point. Would you say, Harry, that you would, if you were to watch it again, you just watch it for fun, like just to enjoy it?
Yep, I'd certainly watch it for the fun of it. It has great moments. Even if I had to get through the stuff that pissed me off, I'd still watch it for the fun because I have seen it twice. It was still a good cinematic experience.
Even though it's 2.5 hours long.
Exactly.
Did you find it too long?
Yeah, it is. It is a little too long. It had extreme pacing issues. If they removed the Canto Bite stuff, that would have improved the pacing greatly.
Fair enough. Right, now the imaginary microphone points to Jack. I was trying to decide who to move to, and I thought, if you're all right with that, Alan, we'll go to you next afterwards.
Oh, sure, no problem.
Yeah, The Last Jedi. Well, I'm the complete opposite. I'm on the complete opposite side of the spectrum with this compared to Harry. I love this film. I really think The Last Jedi is a great Star Wars film. I mean, to be honest, I don't get why it is so divisive. I mean, I kind of do, but at the same time, I really don't get some of the extreme hate that this film has got. I mean, going into this, I really didn't know what to expect. I mean, Rian Johnson, he is a good writer. I mean, he's written for Breaking Bad, and he's directed films, written them like Brick. So going into this, I was kind of like I thought like this is going to be either it's going to be great or it's going to suck. And I mean, hearing reviews before it came out, there was sort of a mixed thing, but I saw it and I thought it was awesome. I mean, to begin with, I mean, I think the opening is fantastic. That opening fight with this, the bombers and all that. I think that's great. That's a really great action scene to sort of, open up your movie with a bang.
Literally.
I mean, like the first time I watched it, I actually missed the opening crawl, but I did see it in the second time round. So we were late to the cinema, but that's a great way to open the film. I mean, I think that the whole opening scene is great. And surprisingly, a lot of drama to start a movie. Like you have the scene where they're trying to release all the bombs, and it turns out later that it's Rose's sister. We also have a cameo in this film by Adrian Edmondson, who plays this officer, and I kind of laugh because a lot of people know him as Eddie from Baltimore, Vivian from The Young Ones. Adrian Edmondson was in that as one of the officers, so I enjoyed his cameo. He was good. I mean, the film itself, I think, for 2.5 hours, I can understand why some people say it's a bit long or whatever, but I thought the pacing for the most part was really good.
Yeah.
I mean, the new characters like Rose. I like Rose as a character. I mean, I think her backstory is quite like interesting the fact that that was her sister and one of the bombers, and then she recognizes Finn, and like I did find that scene funny where like she's like saying I'm trying to zap all these people trying to escape from the ship, and then she realizes he's trying to do it, and then she like tasers him or whatever, which is quite funny. Um, I mean, some people complain with The Last Jedi about the humor, that the humor is just like Marvel humor, and like the humor is like really over the top, and some of it kind of sucks. I mean, to be honest, I
Really?
yeah, well, yeah, some people do. Yeah, I mean, I really liked the humor. I thought this was it was a funny Star Wars film, but I think it was like funny in the right way. I mean, yes, you could say maybe there was a bit too much, but I disagree. I mean, I thought the humor was really
It
great.
was
Like,
it was charming. I mean, it's what you'd expect from Star Wars. I mean, I particularly found it funny when those laundry creatures when the rock fell down on their basket. That was quite funny.
yeah, I mean, and as far as like the main story goes, I mean, I know Harry said that he thought that Last Jedi kind of shits on the Force Awakens and everything that's set up. I disagree. I mean, I think Ryan Johnson, I mean, if he really wanted to shit on the Force Awakens, he would have just completely ignored that film altogether, or he would have killed off all the main characters. I mean, I think this film, even though it is its own thing, it does respect the Force Awakens. It continues to develop these characters. I mean, I actually thought it was quite funny, like when we see, like it picks off literally where the last film ended off on a cliffhanger where we see Luke just, she passes in the lightsaber and he throws it away like behind his back. I thought that was um, really funny, and I have to say, Mark Hamill is, I think he's great in this film. I mean, I think this is definitely one of his best performances. I don't know if this is his best. Maybe it's either between this or Return of the Jedi for his best performance. I mean, I don't know. I'd have to rewatch Return of the Jedi and this film again. Um, but I mean, I think he gives a fantastic performance. I mean, some people complain and like people like give the argument that Luke is completely different from what he is in the original
Yeah, but
trilogy.
that was the point. That was the whole
Yeah,
point.
yeah, that was the whole point. That's what I say. That's the whole point. I mean, watching this film, he's a broken man. He's a completely
Yeah.
broken man.
Damn
Yeah, I mean, it's really interesting to see his character change in the two films. Well, in two films between this and Return of the Jedi. Like we see basically that he's cynical, that he doesn't
it.
care anymore.
To be fair, he did nothing in the Force Awakens. He just sort of stood there at the
Yeah,
end.
yeah, exactly. Yeah. But I mean, it's really interesting to see his character change because he's just, he's completely done with the Jedi. Like, he says in the trailer, it's time for the Jedi to end. And I know Mark Hamill at the time was against it, but then he changed his mind after seeing the film. And I think his character is brilliant here. I mean, I know this film is really divisive. I mean, I know like my tutor said he thought it was like he said like the reason he didn't like it was because of the character decisions, and he said he like and I heard him over saying to like someone else that he thought it was the worst Star Wars film that he'd seen. And and some people and a lot of people said this is the worst Star Wars film. This is one of the worst, and I really don't see why. I mean, this film took a lot of risks, but I mean, it wasn't as bad as Phantom Menace or Attack of the Clones. I mean, it wasn't like
Oh God,
terrible.
no.
I mean, the dialogue wasn't terrible. The
Yeah,
didn't have an annoying character like Jar Jar Binks. We didn't have terrible love story. And one thing I will say, like when people say the pace did have there was pacing issues. But this film flew by compared to the prequels. I mean, you
yeah.
watch Phantom Menace and Attack of the Clones.
I mean, this is the longest Star Wars movie, but it doesn't feel like it.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, the longest Star Wars film, you know, to me, like, is probably the longest one to me. That feels the longest is probably the Phantom Menace or Attack of the Clones. But
Yeah,
this,
Attack of the
this
Clones, 'cause that's like 2 hours 20 minutes, isn't it?
yeah, like, this film, it took a lot of risks, but I think it paid off. I really do think it paid off. Like, I just think Mark Hamill is great because you really see how conflicted Luke is. We see that he's this hermit, and he basically, because of what happened with Kylo Ren, he sort of shut himself off. I mean, and I also like the fact that Rey throughout the whole film is trying to convince him. Like, she's still trying to convince him to in her. I mean, she's kind of like Luke in the original trilogy. Like she's full of hope and optimism, while Luke is sort of like, I guess you could say, I mean, he's just quite cynical. He's completely he just thinks the Jedi are just, they should just die off and there's no point. And I think
Jack, I love the moment when she's sitting on the rock and he's like, reach out. She puts her hand out and then he's like fiddling with the leaf. He's like, and it's like, oh, I feel something. It's like, and you feel the force. Oh, I've never done anything. Ow! And he whacks her hand with it. I thought that was quite funny.
Yeah, that was hilarious. I thought that scene was great. Yeah, and it was also funny when Chewie arrived and like he's like Chewie and like, I mean, one thing I will say, I mean, there were a couple of odd moments in this, like the scene where like Luke's drinking the milk. Like at first, when I first saw that, I was like, "What the fuck?" But
those creatures, blimey.
Yeah, but it was kind of interesting. I also found it also interesting in the film that his like X-wing was there. That was like crashed in the water. But I mean, I think the way Rian Johnson explains it, like Harry said, it kind of shits over the Force Awakens. I don't think it does because Luke. I mean, they explain why he went into hiding in this. I mean, like he did like he even says, I didn't want people finding me for a reason. That's why that piece of the map is missing in the Force Awakens because he doesn't want people to look for him. He doesn't want people to come after him because he knows, that he knows that the people like the Sith and whatever would try to go after him, and that maybe someone else would want to become a Jedi like him.
Yeah, he said he came there to die.
Yeah, exactly. Like, and I think he gives a great performance. I mean, also talking about the other characters, I think Kylo Ren here, played by Adam Driver, I think he's much better here than he was in The Force Awakens. I mean, I'm sorry, but in The Force Awakens, Kylo Ren he was crap. I mean, I'm sorry, but he was just, I mean, he did nothing. He was just a Darth Vader ripoff. I mean, here he really peeled back the layers a lot more in this film. We really find out more about him, which I think is great. Like, that scene where he's, kneeling in front of Snoke and Snoke says, take that ridiculous thing off. And he's like, you will never be Darth Vader. And, we see him smash the helmet. I thought that was a powerful scene. And I was like, yeah, finally, thank God. Like, he can be more of his own character now. He doesn't have to wear the helmet like Darth Vader. He doesn't have to look like a Darth Vader ripoff now. I mean, I just thought his character, sort of, I just thought his character here was really developed more. I mean, you can see he has a lot of conflict. He's a lot more conflicted than Vader was in the original trilogy because even though he has killed Han Solo, he's still, he's still conflicted on what side to join the Force. And I have to say, like, I love those scenes, I love those scenes between Rey and Kylo Ren, when like they're talking, they're connected through the Force, and I don't know how this is happening, but I think those scenes are really great. I mean, what's interesting about it, this film is, I mean, it's so divisive that like apparently fans on the internet have done like a cut of Force Awakens. I don't know, sorry, Last Jedi. I don't know if you guys have heard about this, but like these fans, whatever, saying that the film, like basically they've done a 46-minute cut of the movie, which is kind of pointless, where they basically edited out all the feminist stuff, like according to them, and like all the jokes and all the scene, and like and including the scene where Kylo Ren has his shirt off and all that. And even like, and everybody, like all the stars have gone on Twitter and stuff and like taking the piss out of it, like Rian Johnson and stuff. And I mean, I've never seen this 46-minute cut, but it's like, why bother like cutting the film? Like you're cutting like basically two-thirds of the film out of the movie. So,
Oh,
I mean that's kind of amusing, and that's how divisive this film is. I mean, at the end of the day, I can understand why some fans of The Force Awakens are annoyed, this film, you know, Ryan Johnson took the risks, and he can't really, I mean, if you're going by all these fan theories that Luke is Ray's parent, and you're going to be disappointed. If you come up with all these fan theories and they're not, and then he doesn't live up to them, you're going to be disappointed anyway because
yeah.
The
At the
film
end
is.
of the day, I find it better when a film surprises you. You don't.
Yeah.
I try and stay away from fan theories because you just get so befuddled in them, you get lost in them, and then
Yeah,
like you said,
exactly.
you set yourself up for disappointment. It's just not worth it. I wait till the movie comes out, and that's the best thing.
Yeah, that's the same with me. I mean, there's no point of having these fan theories if I mean, you're never going to live up to them. And I also thought that, I know Harry complained that, oh, Luke should have been Rey's father. I mean, fair enough, but I mean, I'm glad they didn't go with that. I mean, that was a rumor at the end of the Force Awakens. Even my mum said at the end of Force Awakens. So I bet, she's um uh I bet that, Rey, Luke is Rey's father, and I didn't believe that back then, and I'm glad they didn't go with it because it would have been so obvious. Everybody was saying that, and it would have been so obvious. And also the Skywalker story is done. Do we need every main character in Star Wars?
Yeah. Then again, though, like
yeah.
it begs the question: like, if Rey's parents really are no one, like, why did they fly off in a cruiser? Like, maybe I have a theory that perhaps I know I just talked about fan theories, but maybe Rey's parents obviously sold her off to the guy. I can't remember his name's Unkar Plot, I think his name is, and they flew off to Canto Bight to maybe sell weapons to the First Order. Maybe her parents are evil. I mean, who knows? But I have a theory that her parents could potentially be living on Canto Bight. I mean, that's just my thing.
I mean, but anyway, going back to the film, I thought, Kylo Ren was great. I mean, you really get to see how conflicted he is, and I love the scene. I have to say, I mean, I know Harry, like, this probably the scene that pissed him off the most, and I know Alan, you weren't a huge fan of the scene, but I mean, I thought Snoke's death was really well handled. I thought it was really well done because, he basically, he's been talking to Rey all this time, and he started to get connected to her. And there is that scene where they're about to touch, and then Luke destroys the temple, and she's like, "Is that right? Did you?" Sorry, destroys the building, and then she's like, "Is that right? Did you try to kill Kylo Ren?" I mean, I thought those flashback scenes were great, by the way, like with Luke and him telling his story, and then we
They've
find
never
out.
done that before in Star Wars. They never had flashbacks.
Yeah, but I think it worked, and like those scenes were really great. Like he tells his side of the story, and Kylo Ren tells his side of the story, and Luke tells his. And I thought that fight was great. But I mean, that scene where Snoke dies, I thought for me it was brilliant because you can see the conflict. Like she surrendered herself to Kylo Ren, and then Snoke basically says, "Oh, you've done well, my apprentice. You could never turn him. You could." I mean, I thought that scene was really ironic, and it added a lot of drama to the film because I mean, at the end of the day, he's this young man. He's conflicted. He's not like Darth Vader. I mean, he kind of is in some ways, like in Return of the Jedi, and that's what I kind of liked. He was conflicted, and he's sort of grown to like Rey and appreciate her and getting to know her. And then and when Snoke basically surrenders herself to, you know, to Kylo Ren, and Snoke's like, "Oh, you can never betray me," and all this. And then when he's ordered to execute her and he turns his lightsaber on Snoke, I thought that was a really great moment. I mean, yes, you could say, we should have found out more about Snoke, but at the end of the day, I mean, he's not a great character anyway. I mean, Snoke, to be honest, in The Force Awakens, he did nothing. He was only there in a hologram. He's just a CGI character as well. Like Andy Serkis is a good actor, but I mean, and we could still find out more about Snoke anyway. I mean, in Episode 9, they could tell us more about his character and who he was. But I mean, I could understand if fans are kind of annoyed that he got killed, but I mean, it subverted your expectations. It surprised you, and I thought it was a really interesting twist because Kylo Ren is so conflicted, and he killed him, and you thought, "Oh, great, he's going to turn back to the light side," but no, he's just become completely ruthless. And even though he did kill Snoke, he just wants to kill. I mean, he even says, let the past die, kill it if you have to. Like he's become really ruthless, and I thought putting him in
Yeah,
charge of the
he's lost it basically.
yeah, he's gone mad, yeah, kind of, and I just thought, I mean, Harry said, I was kind of stupid to put him as the head of the First Order, but I thought that was great. Like, when and that lightsaber fight with Rey was fantastic. That lightsaber fight, like with Rey and Kylo Ren, where they're fighting the guards afterwards, like after he kills Snoke, that was brilliant. And then when he turns around and offers her to join him. And then when he fakes, like she killed the guards and all that, and then when Hux arrives and he strangles him, he's like, "I am the new leader," and he's like, "All hail the new leader," or whatever. I thought that was great, and going to the side story. I mean, I know Harry said like the Canto Bight scenes were pointless and all that, but I mean, and you could have taken them out of the plot, but I disagree. I mean, I think they needed to be there because the whole point was they needed to get the codes so they could take down the shields and and
Yeah,
attack, yeah, and attack the
because of the
Empire.
code breaker plot. You know,
Yeah, it was needed. I thought.
I mean, their mission failed, but even so, like,
Yeah,
it was necessary.
yeah, and I found those scenes at Canterbury to be quite fun actually. Like, I mean, the whole casino planet, I thought was really cool. And I was expecting Robert De Niro for the movie Casino to be there, but
Well, it was heavily influenced. I mean, I it reminded me of Precisely Cantina from episode 4,
yeah,
even with the
um,
music as well at that point.
yeah. But I mean, I really love that. I mean, the visuals are great, and you got more backstory in Rose when she was saying like about her family and stuff, and I love the scene where they're riding the creatures or whatever they're called. I forget their name, but
Favias, I think they're called.
yeah, that was a great scene, and I thought that was great. I mean, Benicio del Toro, I thought he was going to be the villain for episode 8, but he wasn't. And I mean,
Well, he was a villain, I guess.
yeah, yeah, but uh, he was going to be Darth Maul originally in Phantom Menace, but because they cut his lines, he left. But I mean, I thought he was good, his character, when he betrayed them. As for Phasma's death, I know Harry, you said that you thought, they completely wasted Phasma and Huck should have died instead. But to be honest, Phasma did nothing in The Force Awakens. She was like in 2 scenes and she was a completely pointless character. And, I mean, I think Huck should have stayed alive because he's one of the, like, he's one of the main villains. He's like, the main guy who's leading the First Order. So, and I thought Phasma's death was good. Like, that whole fight scene was awesome. And then when she was like, and then when you saw her eye through the helmet, and she says it's like to Finn or whatever is like you'll always be scum or something like that.
Yeah,
I can't quite remember. Yeah, I thought that scene was great, and her death was really good. So I mean, to be honest, she's kind of like Boba Fett. The way Boba Fett died in Return of the Jedi. I mean, she's really a nothing character. So like they both of them never really get anything to do. So I didn't mind, and I thought her death was more satisfying than Boba Fett's death in Return of the Jedi. But
Yeah.
um, but I mean, as for that, that was good. I mean, I also have to mention, I love the scene, where Luke says he's going to burn down the Jedi Temple, and we have the return of Yoda. That was great. I mean, they brought back the puppet. Yeah, they brought back the puppet Yoda from Empire Strikes Back, which was
Thank
great.
God.
Yeah, and I think Frank Gauze, it's his best performance since Return of the Jedi. I mean, because or the Empire Strikes Back, because I mean, Yoda in the prequels, he was just really boring. He was just a CGI
Yeah.
character. He was just a really boring character. The Yoda in Episode 5 and 6, he had all these eccentricities, and he was quite a lovable character, and they brought that back here. And Frank Oz, the puppet they used or the CGI that made him look like the puppet from Episode 5 or 6, that was really good. And I just love that scene where he burns it down himself, and he's like, "Oh," but he's like, "But all the Jedi knowledge," and he's like, "Oh, she already has."
Let them have you. Page turners, they were not.
Yeah, and he says like, everything you need to know isn't in those books, which I thought was great. And I thought the finale was just spectacular. Like, and the stuff with Laura Dern with Poe. I mean, I guess that was kind of the only part of the film I didn't care that much for, but I still like those scenes, like when Poe's like, you were a coward or whatever. Um, I mean, as for Leia, this is Carrie Fisher's final performance, sadly.
Like ever. Yeah.
Yeah, ever. And in Star Wars as well. So, this is kind of a bittersweet film. I know Harry was saying like, her in a coma was kind of, kind of wasted her. But when they were making this film, they didn't know she was going to die after they completed it. So you can't really blame Rian Johnson for that. To be honest, like if they knew she was going to die, I think they would have made more use of her character. But I thought they used her character pretty damn well. And I thought she was really good.
She was in it more than she was in The Force Awakens.
Yeah. The scene when she gets blasted and she's floating in space. The only criticism I will give of The Last Jedi is I thought that scene where she's sort of floating in space, and then she manages to find her way back on the ship. I thought that was a bit cheesy, to be honest. If she had to leave the film, that'd probably be a nice, that would have been a good enough scene for her to exit on. But I'm kind of glad she didn't die anyway, because it is Carrie
Well,
Fisher's
I didn't mind that scene. I thought it was beautiful the way it was done with the music and everything.
I mean,
Leia can use the Force. We've never really seen her do much with the Force other than talk to Luke. So it's nice to see her do more with the Force.
Yeah, I mean, looking back at it now, like the second time I saw it, I thought it was much better. So it's not that bad anymore. Actually, I probably agree with you. I think that scene was actually quite good looking at it now. But the first time I watched it, I found it a bit cheesy. But I mean, as for the humor, the only one line I thought was a bit cringy was when she says to Poe, like, "Poe, get your head out of your cockpit." That was a bit of an iffy one-liner. But apart from that,
Well, get your head out of your cock.
yeah. But apart from that, I thought the humor was good. And then, when Poe gets zapped, and, the finale I thought was great. And, I just thought out of all the Star Wars films, this is probably the most stakes we've had in a Star Wars film in years. Because
a lot of Resistance fighters die in this.
Yeah, but not only that, but I mean, like, what I loved about it was the real sense of threat. Like, the Resistance were about to be wiped out. I mean, that was the last pocket of them leaving in those ships. And then the ships were getting destroyed. And then, we have the finale where they're all cornered in on the planet, the salt planet. And I mean, I just thought that, I just thought that was, I thought that was amazing. Like, I thought the sense of stakes in this film was amazing. I mean, much more than Force Awakens. I mean, if I had to compare this film to Force Awakens, while I definitely liked it, it didn't take enough risks. It didn't take, it just played it safe. I mean, that's my problem. I mean, I guess you could say, I guess some fans would probably say Last Jedi took too many risks, but my problem with Force Awakens was, even though I liked it, it played it too safe. It played it way too safe. Like, it was just copying the plot of The New Hope. Like, you had the Star Killer base, which is basically a substitute for the Death Star, that getting destroyed again. The whole plot, and like so many scenes that just kind of ripped off, A New Hope. I mean, I don't hate The Force Awakens. I liked it, but it played it way too safe. This took more risks, and I think it paid off for that. And I just thought the ending was great, like where we see them on the planet, and then Luke arrives, and I love that scene between Luke and Leia before.
Oh yeah, that's lovely, lovely.
Yeah, yeah, it was a great scene, and because he kind of blamed himself for Kylo Ren. I thought that was great, and I just thought it was epic the way Luke went out in this film. I mean, I kind of had it spoiled for me that Luke was going to die before I saw the film. I kind of had a feeling he was going to die anyway.
You asked me to tell you.
Yeah, but I mean, I don't mind.
Yeah.
I mean, but when he did die, they didn't do it in this shit way. Like, he didn't just get killed and that was it. I mean, he died in a really brave way. He stood up, he fought.
I was worried that he actually did die after all the guns kept shooting at him.
Yeah. I mean, that would have been a crap way to go out, but I thought, the way he came back, like, you think, I mean, Rian Johnson did a spectacular job. Like, you thought Luke wasn't never going to come back, and then he does, and he faces Kylo Ren, well, yeah, sort of, but anyway, he gets shot by the lasers, and then, I mean, I love that scene where Kylo Ren's like, "Shoot him, give it all your power." He's like, "Okay, stop. Did you get him?" Like,
yeah, you think you got him?
Yeah, that was funny. But I mean, as for the final like confrontation between Kylo Ren, I can understand about the lightsaber fight, like getting sort of like. I mean, but to be honest, it wasn't really a lightsaber fight. I mean, I don't think it's the worst lightsaber fight. For me, that goes to Attack of the Clones. I mean, I thought it was a great confrontation. He was just dodging his attacks. I mean, for me, his sacrifice was kind of like Obi-Wan's in A New Hope when he just, puts the lightsaber up and lets himself get killed by Kylo Ren. Like, and then when Kylo Ren discovers that he is just a Force ghost and then he disappears, he's like, "See you around, kid." I thought that was great. Like Luke got the last laugh. Like, Kylo Ren didn't get the last laugh.
Yeah.
Luke did. And I thought the ending was great, where they find out, basically Luke, the reason why he was there was he was buying them time to escape. Which was brilliant. And I thought the ending was great. I know you said, Harry, this is the worst ending for a Star Wars film. I completely disagree. I mean, I like the Canto Bite scene where you see the kid and he has a rebel like ring around his finger or whatever. at the end, and he looks up into the stars. I thought that was a really great ending, and I just think
It leaves
overall,
the door open as to who the kid is and what that means for episode
yeah,
9.
and I also like it was still like hope is still out there, like because even though Luke died, um, you know, there's still hope out there because the resistance escaped, and I thought that was brilliant. And
Yeah.
yeah, and I think the movie's great. I mean, I loved it the first time, loved
Yeah,
it
Jack,
the
sorry to
second.
interrupt. Regarding your
Yeah,
comment about stakes, it's worthy to note the opening of this movie, the base is destroyed. The resistance base is
yeah,
blown up. You're like, oh
yeah.
shit.
I mean that's the thing. You really feel the sense of impending doom because the resistance probably out of all the, I'd say probably out of all the Star Wars films, um, even including Empire Strikes Back, this really feels like the film where the Resistance are going to die because they literally have them quartered on this one planet, and it's only when Luke
Yeah.
goes and saves
And also
them.
they're running out of fuel. And that's why they
Yeah,
need to get the code breaker so they can, slip away without being detected from the First
yeah. I
Order
mean,
to conserve fuel.
yeah. I mean, they're really at their lowest here, and and yeah. I mean, to close off my thoughts, I just think the movie was great. I loved it. I loved it the first time I saw it with my mom and my brother, and I loved it the second time round. I saw it like I saw it recently in January, a couple of weeks ago with my friend, about a few weeks ago with my friend, the second time, and I loved it both times. And I think it's a great movie, and I think probably one of my favorite Star Wars films because it took all these risks and it did a great job. I mean, you can bitch about, you can moan about how this did happen and it's like killing off Snoke and stuff, but I mean, at the end of the day, they took these risks and I think they paid off. I really do think they paid off. He went for a bold direction and he wasn't playing it safe like J.J. Abrams, which I admire. He didn't go the safe option, and I mean that's one thing I will say. Like I'm kind of worried. I mean, I'm not worried for episode 9 because I mean Abrams is a good director, but I just hope he doesn't play it too safe like The Force Awakens. Like I hope he doesn't copy A New Hope or like I don't know Empire Strikes Back or Return of the Jedi like he did with Force Awakens. I mean it'll be harder for him to do that now since it's like Snoke's gone, but um, I think to be honest, the fans complaining about this, I really don't get it. I really don't understand it. I mean, in some ways, I can understand, Luke getting killed off and Snoke dying, but I think these were risks and, chances they took that paid off because it contributed to the story. Luke went out in a really great way, and Snoke, I mean, you saw how Kylo Ren was conflicted. So, I mean, if I had to give this a final rating out of 10, I'm going to give it a 10 out of 10. I loved it. I thought it was great.
Woo! Awesome. So we now move on to Alan.
Yes. Let's see. The Last Jedi.
That's the one.
That's the one, yeah. Yeah, very controversial Star Wars movie. I can't argue with anybody who has problems with it because when I hear Harry talk about his gripes about The Last Jedi, I understand where he's coming from. I understand why he doesn't like the things that he doesn't like, because the fact is a lot of fans are upset with this movie. Not all of them, of course, but there's a lot of them who've been very, very that they don't like what Rian Johnson did with this movie. Because The Last Jedi takes a lot of different twists and turns that a lot of the fans were not expecting. And some of the fans, like Jack said, he liked the twists and turns that the movie took, whereas Harry did not. I think it's very, very divisive. I mean, either you're going to like this movie or you're not going to like it.
Yeah, it's the Marmite Star Wars movie in that sense.
Yeah, yeah. I don't think anybody, will come out of The Last Jedi going, yeah, it was okay. I mean, either you're going to like it or you're not going to like it. That's it. Because J.J. Abrams, when he did The Force Awakens, I mean, he took this new trilogy, the beginning of this new trilogy, in a very different kind of direction, or at the very least, okay, so maybe he did play it a little bit safe. But I think The Force Awakens needed to play it a little bit safe after the debacle of the prequels. And
yeah, fans actually wanted Force Awakens to feel like the originals, and yet so when fans get something that feels like the originals, they complain. I don't get that.
Exactly.
No, I'm here. I didn't complain. I didn't complain about The Force Awakens. I liked the film. I'm just saying it was too similar to A New Hope. Like,
No, Jack, it wasn't directed at you. They were saying generally.
Right.
Yeah. I'm just saying that with The Force Awakens, they were kind of saying those fans are angry about the prequels. We understand your pain. We feel your pain. So let's give you something to make you feel better. Let's give you something that feels like the Star Wars you know and love. And then when we get to the next movie, then we can really, depart and try something different. So J.J. Abrams kind of sort of played it safe with Force Awakens. That's fine with me because I really loved the film.
Yeah.
That was good.
I mean, Jack, I agree with you that it was a bit too safe, but I understand why people love The Force Awakens. But I just don't agree that it's as good as everyone says. But I see why.
I mean, you still liked it, right, Ollie?
Yeah, I still like it. It's good fun, and it's way better.
I liked it as well.
Yeah,
I still liked it as well. I thought it was good. I don't think it's a masterpiece. Some people make it out to be. I think Abrams
The Last Jedi.
Yeah, I think Abrams is a good director, but he kind of just. He did the same as Star Trek Into Darkness. He just kind of copied the Wrath of Khan. And he did the same with A New Hope, but I still like The Force Awakens. I gave it a 9 out of 10 in my review or whatever. I probably bumped that down now to an 8 out of 10, but I still like it. It kicks the ass out of the prequels for sure.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. I think Force Awakens is the greatest. It fixed both the flaws with the prequels and the originals for me. It did everything right.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. I thoroughly enjoyed it. But when we get to The Last Jedi, so now you've got Rian Johnson, who, by the way, also wrote it as well as directed it. So he has to take either the credit or the blame for the writing of it. And he basically steered the whole thing into a completely different direction. And I think for me, it took about 3 viewings of this movie for me to fully appreciate it. I remember I went opening night. Actually, I went sneak preview night with some big diehard Star Wars fans, and some of them dressed up in costumes and all of that. And I think the reaction to the movie was pretty mixed when we got out. Some fans were happy. Other fans, I could tell, were grumbling about it. I'll never forget the one bit where Rose, where she strains herself up to kiss Finn, after saving his life, and it's like everybody in the theater laughed because they thought that was a silly. Her straining up to kiss him like that, so that was a funny moment.
I'm surprised actually that people laughed at that because in my cinema it was a full audience and nobody laughed, but fair enough, yeah.
I thought the line was a bit cheesy, but no one laughed at it when I went to see it.
Yeah, kind of a cheesy line. That's true, but yeah, everybody laughed in my theater when she kissed him. But anyway,
Alan, when you were watching it for the first time, you must have had a feeling the whole time of what the fuck, because it was in so many directions.
Yeah, the thing is, the thing that a lot of fans are complaining about is that they feel that The Last Jedi is constantly, shall we say, it's constantly trolling the audience. The audience thinks that a situation is going to go one way, and then Rian Johnson pulls it in a completely different direction. There's lots of examples. Okay, like for example, we finally get to see Rey with Luke Skywalker at last, and you'd think that Luke Skywalker would be happy to see his old lightsaber again. Instead, he just throws it over his shoulder like it's no big deal. That's one example. Later on, we think Leia is killed when she gets blown out of the ship. But nope, guess what? She uses the Force, and she somehow manages to get back to the ship and without suffocating in the coldness of space.
Exactly. How was Leia breathing in space in that moment?
I guess she used the Force to create some kind of bubble around herself, some oxygen bubble, without killing herself. Later on in the movie, you think Finn is going to sacrifice himself when they're going down that cannon, but then Rose comes out of nowhere and saves them at the last minute.
Yeah. Also, Alan, another example is in the flashback when Luke tells Rey about the temple burning down, and then Caylow tells a different version of that. And then Luke tells them the real version of that again. So it's like we hear 3 different versions of that story.
Right. But apparently the real version is that, Luke saw the darkness in Kylo Ren's mind and thought it was best to just kill him outright because he saw the evil in Kylo Ren.
Yeah.
He clicks on the lightsaber, and then he decides, nah, I won't kill him.
He has a moment where he nearly does it, and then he realizes what he was doing.
He stops himself from doing it, but unfortunately at that moment, Kylo Ren woke up, and they started fighting, and Kylo Ren...
sorry to interrupt, Alan, but I mean, you saying about the film like trolling people. I mean, I agree with what you said. I mean, my cousin, he's a diehard Star Wars fan, and when he first saw the Last Jedi, he hated it. I mean, he absolutely despised it, and he said there was a point. He told me there was a point when he was actually he was thinking of walking out when he first saw it. But I mean, but he's seen it like several times now, and he loves it now. He absolutely loves it. It's his favorite Star Wars film, and he said the reason why he loves it is because it's a film that deliberately is trying to set out to troll Star Wars fans, trying to subvert your expectations. And he thought Rian Johnson did a really good job of trying to subvert your expectations. And it's kind of a film that's kind of made to sort of kind of troll Star Wars fans, but do it in a good way, if you know what I mean. Anyway.
Yeah, I mean to give you not what you expect, to surprise you. But some people just thought that he took it a little too far. That it's like after scene after scene, you're getting trolled throughout the movie. And of course, then there's the whole thing with Snoke. Nobody expected Snoke to be killed in this movie. I thought they were going to see his death for the next movie. So to see him get killed now in the middle part of the trilogy was like, what?
I mean, Alan, the first time you saw the movie, were you pissed off about that, or were you just shocked more than anything else?
I was very befuddled. I think more than anything else. I was like, why are they killing him off now? This is only the second part of the trilogy.
I know, right?
And it wasn't even near the end of the film. It was 3/4 of the way in.
Yeah, it's like, wait a minute, weren't they going to save his death for episode 9, and they're killing him off now? What's going on? So yeah, I was kind of flabbergasted when I saw that. But I mean, there are theories that say, well, maybe that wasn't the real Snoke. I mean, this is definitely a Star Wars. The Star Wars galaxy definitely knows a thing or two about clones. It could have been a clone, and then maybe the real Snoke will come back in episode 9. That's a possibility. Although it may be silly just to bring him back only to kill him off again.
Yeah.
I don't think he is coming back just from from that.
Unless they do a flashback.
Yeah.
Or something. But we don't really know all that much about him, and the next thing you know,
he's dead.
And another thing is, I mean, okay, so he's supposed to be this all-powerful evil guy, and yet he couldn't see Kylo Ren using the Force to wiggle the lightsaber, to turn it on against him and then kill him. He couldn't see the little wiggle.
Yeah, that's what I thought. If Snoke's supposed to be more powerful than Vader and Palpatine combined, how could he not sense the lightsaber?
Well, he's not, though, is he? I mean, he's not as powerful as Vader or...
I guess not if he couldn't see that. Maybe that was the point. Maybe that was the point.
To me, he just looks like a basic alien. In Doctor Who, you have those villains called the Silence. He looks like one of them.
Yeah, kind of.
Except that he can talk.
Right. That is true. But that was another surprise. That was another trolling scene that people didn't expect.
Although, Alan, I mean, the scenes he has, would you say, are very good?
Oh yeah, very, very good. I mean, the CGI is really great, and of course, Andy Serkis doing the motion capture performance, fantastic as always. You can't go wrong with Andy Serkis. I'm looking forward to seeing him in the flesh in Black Panther, but when he's doing his motion capture stuff, he's terrific. So yeah, I was happy with that. I just didn't expect Snoke to be killed off. That was
I don't think anybody expected it.
yeah, I didn't see that coming at all. But regarding Luke, I didn't expect Luke's story to go in the direction that it did, and I know that's another thing that some fans are complaining about. It's like, oh, come on, he's Luke Skywalker. You know, he wouldn't be a broken man. He wouldn't want to live like a hermit or something like that. No. And then of course, then there's Luke's demise at the end of the film. Although it's a much more polite, beautiful demise than what Han Solo got. That's for sure.
Yeah. I mean, to be fair though, Alan, people shouldn't complain about that because as in Luke, because at the end of the day, it makes sense with the story that they're trying to tell. And it's about time they did something different with Luke as well.
Yeah, I suppose. I mean, you have to remember that this new trilogy is taking place a big 30 years after Return of the Jedi. That's a lot of time to have passed. So even though we can be upset about Han Solo being killed, we mustn't forget that he got to live another big 30 years after Return of the Jedi before he took that unfortunate meeting with his son on the catwalk. You know, so he got to experience another 30 big years. Luke got to live another 30 years, and so did Leia, although I guess we'll know Leia's ultimate fate in the next movie.
I have a question about Kylo Ren. Did he just kill his dad because he wanted to impress Snoke to prove how evil he could be, or did he kill his dad because he really wanted to kill his dad?
I'm still not sure. The thing is that Rey asks him about that in The Last Jedi, and yet I couldn't quite understand Kylo's answer. He said, "You killed your father. He loved you. You killed your father." And Kylo's answer, I couldn't quite make out what he said. And I've seen him several times now.
Yeah, because when in the beginning when he goes to see Snoke, and then Snoke says, obviously there's too much of your father, Han Solo, in you, and he says, I killed Han Solo. You know, when the moment came, I didn't hesitate, but Snoke doesn't care. So I thought, oh, okay, he killed him just to impress Snoke, but I don't know. There's a lot of emotional conflict going on in him.
I think he tried to kill. I think he killed him to prove that, or tried at least like say that you can't turn him. But then, of course, in the newest one, he becomes more conflicted over it.
Yeah, I don't know. It's a very interesting question.
Yeah, I think he killed him to impress Snoke, and once Snoke has still disowned him, it would have made more sense if Kylo turned to the light in this movie because he realized, oh shit, I've just killed my father.
And he nearly kills Leia in this film.
And I almost nearly killed my mother, but thank God he chose his good side decided to kick in and spare her.
Yeah. and then his stormtroopers blew her out of the ship for him.
Yeah.
Bye.
Yeah. But anyway, The Last Jedi, I mean, it's all this controversial stuff going on in it, and yet, it's still an entertaining movie. I mean, and by the time I saw the movie the third time, I think I was pretty much used to all the twists and turns that are in it. I won't say it's the best Star Wars movie ever made, but it's a heck of a lot better than the prequels. That's for sure.
That wasn't difficult to beat, though.
Yeah, not difficult to beat. So, like I said, I'm used to the twists and turns that are in it now. And looking at the movie now, I mean, I do overall like it a lot. I mean, I still think the opening battle with Poe, like single-handedly taking on the big ships, I think that was well done. I like that. I did like how Leia uses the Force to pull herself back to the ship. It's good to finally see her.
Everybody's complaining about that. I thought it was lovely. Why do people hate that?
Yeah. Well, some people say that it's kind of like it's like she turns into Superman when she does that, or you can cue some I don't know. Everybody talks about you can play this like disco song called "Shining Star" behind her.
I mean, no offense, but I mean, some of the criticisms of The Last Jedi I can completely understand, like Snoke with Luke's death, but some of them are just really fucking petty. Like people saying, like, "Oh, having an Asian character like Rose, it's SJW bullshit." It's like, what the fuck?
Yeah, I don't agree with that at all. I like Rose. I don't have a problem with Rose.
I know some people found her annoying, but there's no need to say that.
Yeah.
No, I didn't have a problem with Rose. I mean, I don't think the kiss worked, but other than that, I
the line.
didn't have a problem with her. I didn't have a problem with her. I mean, she's Finn. If it wasn't for her, Finn would have died. So thank you, Rose.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah. I mean, the space battles are really great. I do think that the scenes with Luke and Rey are really well done. I like their chemistry. Of course, it's a thrill to see Mark Hamill return as Luke and see what he's been up to all this time. You can say what you want about his story arc, not going in a way that a lot of fans wanted it to, but I think they handled it well. And when you take into account that this is 30 years after Return of the Jedi, and what happened with Kylo Ren happened, it's understandable. I still think that Luke gets a terrific send off at the end with the confrontation with Kylo Ren.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was as good as it could have been.
Yeah, as good as it could have been. I mean, I know some fans complain, "Oh, it's not even a lightsaber battle. Their blades don't even connect." Blah blah blah. But it's just done differently. That's all.
Yeah, I mean, I like that. I mean, it was like Obi-Wan's fight in A New Hope. It's like just some of these criticisms. I mean, some of them I understand, but like some of them are just really fucking petty. Like, I mean, who cares if Rose is Asian? Who cares if the lightsabers don't connect? Like, it's not a big deal. It doesn't ruin the movie. Like,
yeah. Doesn't ruin it for me. It certainly doesn't ruin it for me. But yeah, I enjoyed the space battles. Yeah, the stuff with the bombers.
Alan, what about the throne room fight with the guards after Snoke dies?
Yeah, I thought that was great. I thought that was really well done. I liked that. I thought that was a lot of fun. Yeah, with the red guards in Snoke's Red Palace, I actually like that. How Caylow and Rey kind of turn into like a team for a moment.
Yeah.
And fight off the guards, and then they have their confrontation scene where Caylow says, let's burn it all down and start anew. Rey, I want you to join me. And then they have that tug of war with the lightsaber, which I thought was great. Yeah. I enjoyed that.
Good how they cut that with the Admiral's death as well.
Yeah, Admiral Laura Dern. Yeah, her character didn't amount to much, but still, I did think that scene where she sacrifices herself and turns the ship into a hyperdrive bullet, I thought was really cool, and how everything turns silent when it smashes into the ship.
Oh yeah, I thought that was a great scene, by the way. Like when it went silent and
it was really effective, and the music built up really well to it.
Yeah. No, that I thought was very powerful. I thought that was good, and in kind of a way, her character kind of redeemed herself because she wasn't that much of a character, I mean,
yeah, it gave her a sense of purpose.
Yeah. I mean, she's there to temporarily replace Leia in command, and Laura Dern, she's a good actress, and she's attractive too. She looked good in the purple hair, but her character just doesn't do all that much until the moment when she plows the ship, in hyperdrive.
I mean, the only thing she does before is have a rivalry with Poe, but then she says, "Oh, he's a troublemaker. I like him." Ugh.
Yeah.
So all of that didn't amount much.
That's another thing that a lot of fans complain about. The thing about that she was withholding information from Poe about their plans, and everybody says, "Look, why didn't you just tell him? just tell him, and you could have saved yourself all that arguing." But she doesn't tell him.
Oh.
But yeah, her climactic scene with smashing the ship into the other ship with hyperdrive, that was cool. I enjoyed that. Let's see stuff here. Let's see. Oh, okay. The plot with Finn and Rose, the casino stuff didn't work as well as it could have. I mean, first of all, the casino itself, wouldn't you agree? It looks more like a casino from a James Bond movie than a Star Wars movie.
I know, right?
I can see why you say that. Yeah, there is definitely an influence. It's like a James Bond and a Star Wars casino crossed over.
It reminded me of the casino from Casino with Robert De Niro and Joe Pesci. I just really expected like Robert De Niro to arrive or whatever, and like tell Finn and Poe to get out or something like that.
Yeah. That whole subplot thing, I don't know if it worked too well, but at the same time, I would also agree that it did have a purpose to it, that they had to find a code breaker. Even if they didn't get the code breaker they wanted, they found a code breaker.
I was going to say, the actual guy, who was on the roulette table, was he actually the real code breaker they were looking for?
I think so.
Yeah.
I think it was, but they weren't able to get to him because they were arrested. So then Benicio del Toro shows up in there.
He was dressed in a very sort of Bondian tuxedo. That felt very Bond to me.
Oh, the real code breaker?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was definitely a nod to James Bond. I mean, it had to be.
Although, actually, Alan, one of the funny things in that scene was BB-8. He was funny in that scene.
Where they kind of turned him into a slot machine. Yeah. That was cool. And then he gets to use the planes and later on. Yeah, that was funny. Yeah, it was nice to see BB-8 again in the movie. But yeah, the whole subplot thing, I mean, there is a purpose for it. I mean, Finn and Rose, they're not there to sightsee. I mean, they're there to find a breaker.
And then they happen to run into DJ. I think that's his name, DJ.
Yeah, DJ. Yeah, Benicio del Toro's character, DJ. And then you've got the whole backstory with Rose and her thing with the animals and all that. So there's a little bit of social commentary about the animals and the treatment of animals, the abuse of animals. I guess that was the whole point of that scene. And then, of course, when they smash through the casino riding on the animals, it's like, yay, victory for the animals.
Free the animals.
Yeah. I mean, on the one hand, could you have removed that scene from the movie? Perhaps. Might have made the film a little bit shorter, but at the same time, there was a reason to stick it in there. I mean, they were there to find the code breaker, and he just so happened to be at this casino. So there you go.
Yeah. I did like that little gremlin thing. He was quite funny. He did remind me of something of the film Gremlins, Spielberg.
Yeah, I would say so. Yeah, he was amusing. Let's see, the whole thing again with Rey and trying to find the identity of her parents. Well, let's see, the revelation that her parents were nobodies. There might be another twist in episode 9 that maybe that was just a front that Caylow was saying that wasn't the real truth.
Because the first time I saw the movie, I didn't believe that, but I'm not sure. I'm just not sure about it.
Yeah, he might have been fibbing. I mean, for all we know. I mean, we'll know for sure in the next movie. So we'll see what they come up with for episode 9 regarding Rey's parents, if there is anything more to add to that. If it really is true that her parents are nobodies, well, I don't mind that. I mean, it goes to
it's
show
interesting.
I mean, they're trying to branch out. They're trying to show that the Force isn't just exclusive to a really, really
special person.
A special family, that anybody can use it. Although Rey is really, really good with it. I mean, you could almost argue the girl doesn't really need any training. She pretty much knows how to do it all. I mean,
I don't even think she finishes her 3 lessons that she's meant to have.
Yeah. I mean, the fact at the end of the movie that she can move all of those rocks with the greatest of ease, all of them, without even struggling. I mean, wow.
Yeah.
That's I mean,
although it's followed by a lovely moment when she reunites with Finn. That was lovely.
That was nice. I mean, they have that nice little hug, which is good. Although it now looks like, as Harry pointed out, that maybe he's now ultimately going to pair off with Rose, and Rey's going to pair off with Poe, or possibly. So we'll see how that works out. But I did think initially that it was going to be Rey and Finn pairing off together. Because they were so close in that first movie. They were very, very close.
Well, definitely towards the end.
Yeah, they only get back together again at the very end of The Last Jedi, but now Finn might have something with Rose, and Rey might get together with Poe, so we'll see how that all works out.
There'll be some love triangle in episode 9.
Yeah, exactly, yeah, or a love square.
Yeah,
As you know, with these other two characters now, but still, you know, I mean, for the record, I like Rey. I mean, I know some people accuse her of being a Mary Sue because
yeah.
she's so good with the Force.
Well, so
But
good at everything.
yeah,
Oh,
but
by the way, did you hear Daisy Ridley say that it was sexist if you called Ray a Mary Sue or whatever?
yeah, well, I think it's a silly term anyway.
Yeah.
I don't even know where it originated, but I just know it's supposed to mean a girl who's too perfect at everything. Who's
Yeah,
too
it may have originated from somebody who was called Mary Sue,
yeah,
who was probably good at everything.
Well,
I guess so.
Well, she said there's no one called like Gary Steve, but apparently there is like a male version of that called the Gary Stew or whatever. But whatever.
Yeah, yeah. But I mean, I still like her. I still think that she's a likable character.
Yeah,
And she's still flawed. You know, she's
yeah.
not a super being, but
She's quite naive, I think, in you know, in these first two movies, and I think in the third movie she's going to be a lot more proactive and a lot more mature than she has been. I think.
yeah, I think so too. But okay, her character just so happens to be really force sensitive. You know,
Mm.
how that came about, who knows? But maybe episode 9 will shed a little more light on that. Even if her parents really truly were nobodies, you know. But
Yeah.
we'll see.
It's weird because you know the scene in the cave, which is really strange. She looks into the thing. She says, "Oh, can I see my parents?" And then she sees herself. So
Yeah.
maybe that's it.
Kind of like the Empire Strikes Back, where Luke had to go into the thing and sort of face his fear or whatever it was. Like,
yeah, it's kind of reminiscent of that. It is. I mean, and I did think that was cool. I mean, they have that effect where you see a whole line of rays, and they're like slightly out of sync with each other by a few seconds. So I thought that was cool. I think that's kind of like a nod.
Couldn't get enough of Daisy Ridley.
Right. But I think that was cool. Of course, I have to mention Yoda's cameo. I thought it was great, and it was really nice to see Yoda again, and it's nice to see him as a Muppet again rather than a CGI creation, as we saw him in the prequels. I like that he was the old jovial Yoda, you know, cracking jokes with Luke, and
not the boring prequel one.
Right, yeah. And how they were talking about the old Jedi books, you know, page turners they were not. And then, of course, when he sets fire to the tree, was really good.
And also, worthy to mention, the music theme, the John Williams theme, was lovely to hear that again. The Yoda theme.
It was. So I really enjoyed Yoda's visit with Luke in the movie. I thought that was a really nice touch. And again, nice to see Yoda in Muppet form and being jovial and happy as we first saw him in The Empire Strikes Back. So that was good. And then, of course, heading to the conclusion of the movie, I did enjoy the battle on the sand planet. You know, with the salt, with the red salt.
Yeah.
I thought that looked really cool.
There's a lot of red in this film.
Yeah. Although that was probably the most reminiscent moment of Empire Strikes Back, when you see those newly designed AT-ATs going against the rebels. But I did like the fact that it was on a planet where, you know, you scrape the surface and you see the red salt on the surface. I did think it was a good battle. Say what you want about Rose's last minute saving of Finn, but hey, she saved him. Even though they both could have been killed when she rammed his ship.
Yeah, I was actually really worried Finn was going to die, and I really didn't want that to happen.
Yeah, exactly. So it's nice that she saved him. That's good. I thought that was a well staged battle, and of course, the appearance of Luke at the end for his final confrontation with Kylo Ren, even though it turns out he's just projecting himself. And by the way, nobody's made mention of those really cool. What are we going to call them? Ice wolves or
crystal?
Crystal critters, as they call them in the films. What was the point of those creatures. They didn't do anything.
Well, they kind of led them out of the cave, I guess.
Yeah.
Or I guess they were just there to show more animal life in the Star Wars universe, I suppose. But they look pretty cool.
Blue
I work
Planet.
with animals every day.
Blue Planet with David Attenborough, except he's talking about Star Wars animals.
Now, the critters were frozen years ago at birth.
How silly! I mentioned the ice rolls. Was anybody turned off by the porgs? Some people love the porgs. Some people hate them.
I
That was so funny.
I thought they were great.
Yeah, they're cute. I mean, I like that scene where Chewie's trying to eat a porg that he just cooked, and the other porgs are looking at him in horror.
Oh yeah. Also, Alan, in the scene in the Falcon, they're nesting.
Right. Yeah. So I
was-
didn't mind the porgs. I thought they were cute. Some people hate them, but I like them better than Ewoks. I'm not
Agreed.
Yeah.
Well, to be honest, if you hate the Ewoks but love the Porgs, I don't get that because they're both kind of like I don't know, they're both kind of annoying characters, I guess. I think they're both kind of they're made to be for the kids or whatever. But
Yeah, I mean they are made for merchandising, but oh well.
Oh well, yeah.
I like the Porgs too.
They're the new Ewoks.
Yeah. So anyway, to wrap up my thing on Last Jedi, I did enjoy the last confrontation between Luke and Kylo Ren, even though Luke turned out to be a projection of himself. You can say what you want about Luke's demise. Again, I know that's another criticism fans are throwing at the movie, that they didn't want Luke to die. But, he is Force sensitive, and he simply became one with the Force. So he went out in a very, very peaceful...
I mean, they said Luke was gone, but it wasn't sadness. It was peace and purpose.
Yeah. And I also like that final shot where he's looking into the sun, and then he just disappears. It almost had kind of a like a Jesus kind of quality about it.
Yeah, it was very holy.
Very holy.
Could you imagine at the end? Could you imagine at the end when Luke sacrifices himself? It's like, always look on the bright side of life.
Well, there is a bright side to this. I mean, number one, okay, he went peacefully. He's one with the Force. And number two, he could definitely come back as a Force ghost.
And he's with Han as well, with his brother-in-law.
Right, and yeah, exactly. And he's with Yoda and Obi-Wan.
Anakin.
Right. Oh, and his father. Yes. And they could bring him back as a Force ghost, and I hope they do, because now we know we can't have Carrie Fisher in Episode 9. So the solution, I think, would be to bring back Luke as a Force ghost. I would.
Even as a cameo, that would be good.
Yeah, it makes sense to me, and I hope J.J. Abrams does that. I mean, even Rian Johnson has said that. He said that he doesn't know if J.J. Abrams actually will bring back Luke as a Force ghost, but he says from a fan's perspective, it makes sense, especially since Leia can't be a part of it now.
Yeah.
So
I would say, I have a theory. What they're probably going to do is do it at the very end of the film, like with Return of the Jedi, when all the ghosts appeared at the end. They might do that again for Episode 9.
Yeah, I've been thinking about that too. They might do that too. That maybe we'll see Luke and Leia, looking, happily on to the rebels, who have won the last battle. They better win.
Well, or the last battle for now.
For now, yeah. They might actually repeat that final scene from Return of the Jedi. That's one scene I wouldn't mind them repeating if they repeat anything from Return of the Jedi. That last scene. This time with Luke and Leia looking on as Force ghosts. We'll see how that turns out. So overall, I enjoyed The Last Jedi. I mean, again, I hear the criticisms loud and clear. I understand where the criticisms come from, but the movie was definitely a grower for me. I wasn't exactly knocked out by it, the first time out, but I am a longtime Star Wars fan. I figured, well, give it another chance, and maybe you'll come to like it. And so I did, and a couple more movies, I think I was used to it, and now I can say that I like The Last Jedi a lot. It did take a lot of risks. That's something that's to be commended about it. It didn't give you exactly what you thought you were going to get. which is not necessarily a bad thing. And the twists and turns that it took in the story, I thought were very interesting.
Hey, Alan, would you say it took good risks, unlike Doctor Who? Like, do you think it didn't kill the franchise like Doctor Who?
No,
In
I
terms
mean, some
of
fans are
risks?
making, oh my God, Last Jedi sucks. Oh, they destroyed Star Wars. I don't care about Star Wars anymore. Yeah, it's not a bad movie. I can understand where the criticisms come from. I get it. I understand, but I enjoyed it. You know, I don't think they wrecked it. I think the Star Wars magic of old was still there. Um, I mean, I'm sorry if some fans are very disgruntled with the direction that the story went in. If they flat out hate the movie, well, I mean that's kind of too bad. But
Kind of their problem, really.
I'll take the Last Jedi over the prequel trilogy any day. I mean, no contest. You know, I would much
Are
rather
you an
watch.
angel? Oh, fuck that.
Yeah, I would much rather watch the Last Jedi again than the prequel trilogy. Okay, easily. So overall, I like the movie. I won't say it's the best Star Wars movie ever made, but
Yeah.
I really enjoyed it
Yeah.
overall, despite the
Yeah.
controversial nature of it. So, and I am looking forward to what J.J. Abrams is going to do with Episode 9. Good luck, J.J. So, on a scale of 1 to 10, I will give The Last Jedi 8 out of 10.
Oh, so it's a solid entry for you. It's
Solid
good.
entry. Yeah. 8 out of 10, I'd say.
Cool. I totally understand. I mean, The Force Awakens was a breath of fresh air after the prequels, even if it did play itself a bit too safe, in my opinion. But you know, sometimes safe is good. But I feel that
Yeah.
Abrams went eensy weensy bit too far in being safe. But
I hear you.
yeah, I'm sad that The Last Jedi is divisive, but at least you
Yeah.
like it. I was boring actually, Alan, that you weren't going to like it because of the directions it went in. But
I do.
yeah. I mean, on first viewing, you're probably kind of confused about it. Probably didn't know what to think of it.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm a longtime Star Wars fan, so there's no way that I was only going to let that very first viewing of Last Jedi be my one and only viewing of the movie. I mean, of course, I was going to take another look at it, and I just started to get used to it. And again, by the third viewing, I think I was pretty much used to the twists and turns that the movie takes. So I won't argue with anybody who hates the movie. I mean, I understand where the criticisms come from, but really, I think some of the criticisms are a bit,
Bullshit.
are a bit silly. Some of the criticisms are silly, and I still like the film very much. So I'm happy with it.
Right. Before I carry on, I've just got to quickly go and take a leak, so I'll be right back. You guys just talk amongst yourselves for a minute. I'll be right back.
All right.
Yeah. By the way, I saw your review of Earthshock, Alan.
Oh, you did? Oh, good.
Yeah, I'm
Thank you.
surprised. I thought like you were gonna say you didn't like it, but it was good that you liked it or whatever.
No, overall I did. It was overall really good. I think it is one of Davison's best stories. I just didn't like how he tries to force the audience to cry at the end for Adric's death by running the credits in silence and showing the blow up picture of his badge. I don't think that was necessary.
Yeah.
I just think that's kind of like emotional manipulation of the audience. I really do. But other than that, it was an excellent story. Definitely.
Yeah. I was going to say, I still have to finish off the Pertwee stuff. I'm going to review the Three Doctors next, so
Okay.
that'll be good.
Yeah, no, I will definitely go back and watch your Pertwee reviews because I know I need to catch up with your reviews of my favorite Doctor and see think of his other stuff. Yeah, and my review of Time Flight will drop later, like in a few hours.
Not a very good story.
Not the greatest of Davison stories, no. But yeah, that'll drop, I guess, 8:30 a.m. your time.
Yeah, I was going to say, as for Doctor Who Series 11, oh dear. It just, even if I would watch with a female doctor, just the SJW thing that they're adding in with like black companions and they're going to have a civil rights episode. Really? Oh, God. And
It's just not Doctor Who. to me anymore. I mean, okay, it's still going to have the Doctor Who name on it, but it's not going to be Doctor Who anymore. Now it's feminist Doctor Who. Now it's Bynum's Doctor Who. I couldn't care less. I just don't care anymore. You know,
it's political correctness. I mean, they're thinking of moving it to Sunday, and they're gonna have a civil rights episode. And they're just making it so like politically correct, like she's a LGBT rainbow across her shirt. She's like, ugh, I don't know. I just can't be arsed anymore.
I won't be watching, that's for sure. I'm done.
Right. Okay.
All right, Ollie.
Okay, so
Go for
The
it.
Last Jedi. I'm with Jack Attack on this one. I love this film. I was very surprised when I first saw it because it didn't go in the directions I expected. But you know what? Afterwards, I came out of it thinking that was a weird experience. But you know what? Good on you, Ryan. Nice job. I'm actually quite excited for episode 9 now, because I had kind of in my head thought about the structure of this movie and like of this new trilogy and what episode 7 set up for us and how episode 8 was going to deliver on that. In a way, it kind of ignored a lot that was set up, but I don't really mind that because they wanted to keep the sense of mystery going. Maybe they wanted to wait till episode 9 to reveal more, which is probably why there's been a lot of twists and turns in this film. I'm just assuming that. But this movie took my breath away. I was very surprised. It's a very, very different film to what we've had in the past. And it's a very, Alan used this word in his review, polarizing Star Wars movie. It's a strange experience when you first watch it. If you're a long-time fan, it's gonna feel weird. It's gonna be like, what the fuck? This is a bit weird. But I just embraced it. I mean, I can understand if people hate it because it is surprising, and some people may feel it goes too far in trying to shock the audience, in which case I can understand that. But I had a blast with this movie from beginning to end. The first thing to say is immediately I prefer it to The Force Awakens on the basis of that.
What?
The story is Harry. The story is more original.
No offense, yeah.
Yeah, no, it's fine. And we're all entitled to our opinions. I like The Force Awakens. I rate The Force Awakens an 8 out of 10, so I think it's a good, solid movie. But
yeah, I mean, just because we prefer Last Jedi doesn't mean we hate Force Awakens. I mean, I prefer Last Jedi as well to Force Awakens. Anyway.
No. I mean, the Force Awakens was good for what it did because it brought the series back. And after such a long time, after the prequels, it really was a fucking breath of fresh air. And I just feel that in terms of parts of the plot, it played it too safe, and the plot started to become very similar to A New Hope. That was when it got a little bit too far for me, but I still enjoyed the movie. I could watch it, and it wouldn't piss me off. But I just The Last Jedi took risks, some big risks, and I think I have to admire it for that. It's 2.5 hours, but it moved very quickly for me anyway. I can understand people having problems with the pacing, but I found it really interesting. Because this movie is kind of cutting back and forth between different plot strands. We've got the Luke and Rey stuff on the Octu Island. We've got Finn and Rose in Canto Bight, and we've also got the Resistance in space. So there's a lot that goes on in this film. There's quite a lot that happens, and I really admire that. I think the look of the film is great. I think the cinematography is beautiful. Nobody's mentioned this yet, but some of the shots are just amazing, especially on the island, especially the last few shots with Luke. Sorry?
Yeah, the cinematography on the film is great.
Yeah, that was great. And I also, sorry to interrupt, Ollie. You mentioned the island. I forgot to mention the scene. I loved it when Rey, she cut off part of the mountain and it knocked over and destroyed that little thing. Yeah.
yeah, those laundry creatures were quite funny. So all of that was good, and I think the characters are great. I think what The Last Jedi is a great piece of drama. The Force Awakens was a very different beast. It was a we liked in the original trilogy. This is a character piece, as well as it being a fun action movie. It is full of great character drama, and that's what I love about it. Luke is brilliant in this movie. Mark Hamill is fantastic. He's struggling with his role as a broken man. He feels like he's failed as a teacher and a mentor and as an uncle with Kylo Ren. So he's hidden himself away to try and live until he dies. And obviously he's being encouraged to go back. And when he meets Rey, he obviously decides that she is the new hope. She is the person to become the next Jedi. She's obviously got some kind of connection with the Force. But he's living in this state of denial. And he's very rugged. He's got this raggedy kind of look about him. He's become a bit of a hermit, so it's interesting. And I think his arc as a character is now complete. There is nothing more you can do with Luke. I mean, I'd love to see him again as a Force ghost. That would be great. Just so that we've got him in the entire trilogy.
One thing that confused me about Luke and Kylo's backstory is that how come Luke would even think of killing his own nephew when he would never even kill his own father, Vader, in Return of the Jedi? He intended to turn Vader back to the light. Why the hell wouldn't he intend to turn Kylo back to the light immediately? Why did he just pull out his lightsaber?
I think what happened was he had a moment of madness. He had a moment of panic. He feared what Kylo was going to do. He feared that there was darkness emerging in him, and he feared that Kylo would do something horrible.
He even said, I knew that moment that Snoke had already turned him.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And then it's for a split second, he looks at his lightsaber, he realizes what he's about, decides not to do it. So it's really it's kind of it's an out of flux moment. It's an out of character moment for Luke. He has a moment of darkness, but he holds it back. So when you think Luke is about to turn evil, he doesn't. It was used as another troll, basically, a troll for the audience to kind of keep them hooked, and that was why that happened. But I think he's great, and obviously his story has come to full circle with the binary sunsets at the end. Last scene he has with Leia is beautiful, and he gives her the golden die that was in the Falcon, obviously resembling Han, which was lovely, and that was really nice. And obviously his final confrontation with Kylo Ren was good. I would have liked a bit more of a choreography in the lightsaber fight, but the confrontation itself is still good. But I was disappointed that there was no actual lightsaber fight. That would have been nice.
Totally agreed.
But, I'm not going to knock the movie too much for that. I really think that this is an epic film. The stakes are very high, as Jack said. A lot of people die in this film. It's people forget too easily how many Resistance fighters die throughout the entire. And by the end, there's not even 100 of them left, and that's really quite interesting. It makes me wonder even more what Episode 9 will bring to the table, because where do they go from here? As Ray says, where do we go from here? And that is it. The movie ends on that note. It's like, how do you build a rebellion from this? And that's the interesting for this.
I thought I thought a little too many of the major characters were killed off in this movie. This felt more like the final chapter than the middle of the trilogy.
Yeah, I can understand why you say that. Ray was really good in this movie. I liked Ray in the full.
Sorry, what did Harry say? Sorry to interrupt.
He said he thought more like the end of a trilogy rather than the middle. Ray as a character was good in this film. She starts to kind of grow up. I think she starts to mature. She starts to realize that there's more to the Force than she realizes, and there's more to the real world she realizes. And having seen Han Solo being murdered right in front of her eyes, that kind of is a reality kick for her. And she misses Finn, and emotional baggage, and that's showing. And there's obviously the scenes when she has with Kylo Ren with the connection, which I think was really good. I was intrigued by that. I to find out that Snoke implanted this connection between the two of them, which was interesting. And by the end, obviously, her costume changes, and she's now a Jedi, which is interesting. Although her training seemed to run very quickly, like she didn't need much training.
Yeah, Luke hardly trained her at all. She just trained herself the majority of the time on that island.
Yeah. Regarding the Finn and Rose stuff on Canto Bight, I love it. I don't really care. I think it's great. Did it go on too long? Maybe. Yeah, okay. Maybe it did go on a bit, but I didn't find it drag the movie down for me, because at the end of the day, it's too important to cut out of the movie. They needed to find a code breaker to disable the tracker, to slip past the First Order to conserve their fuel. So, it's an important part of the story, in my opinion. And maybe they didn't need to do the whole riding out of the animals thing. Maybe that was too much of an add-on, but I didn't mind it too much. It didn't bother me. Regarding their relationship, I don't necessary to get them together as lovers. Finn doesn't even seem to be quite aware of what's going on at the end anyway when she kisses him. I did think her line was very cheesy when she said, "Oh, that's how we're going to win, not fighting what we hate, saving what we love." Oh, God. That's a George Lucas line. Oh, God. Oh, dear. It was only one line, so I'll let them have that. And I actually thought Poe and Hux got more to do. Those are two characters that I found completely overrated in The Force Awakens. I didn't understand why people were loving them so much. But it was nice that they got more to do. And Poe really, he's a cocky so-and-so. And he really shows his real guy. And he's just trying to help them survive. And it would be nice if the Admiral had actually been straight with him from the beginning. But, oh well. And regarding Admiral Holdo, she's good. I like her. I like Laura Dern. Although she's clearly in the one movie. But I think her sacrifice is very powerful, particularly as it's intercut with the moment with the lightsabers when Rey and Ren are trying to get the lightsaber, and then she ends up sacrificing herself and blasting through the ships to destroy them. And it was very, very silent, and then you just saw like them explode. And when I saw it in the cinema, they were shocked. They couldn't believe that happened. Yeah, that was very good. It was wasted again, unfortunately. Appearance. Well, I would assume it's her final appearance. I don't know how she could have survived that. I will say I love the fight. The fight was excellent. It was very short, but it was a good fight. But ultimately, character to begin with. So the fact that she dies in the movie didn't mean diddly squat to me, to be honest. But it was quite cool. I was slightly disappointed in the sense that I wanted to see more of her, but I thought, oh, okay, fair enough, she's dead. It didn't really make too much of a difference to me. And I love the action of the movie. The action's great. The opening battle is awesome. And it was nice to see that the music in its opening, the fact that Rose's sister dies protecting the fleet. Then we obviously don't know she's her sister until we meet Rose, which I thought was great. John Boyega as Finn. He's great in this movie. He has a lot of obviously most of his scenes with Rose, but he's chosen his side now. He's on the side of the Resistance, and he's one of them. And I really like his arc, and when he stands up to Phasma. I quite like the scene when they're captured by the First Order, and then Hux just slaps him across the face. I thought that was dramatic. And when they run into the code breaker named DJ, he's a very weird character. I mean, he's got this weird sort of stutter. Need a little lift sometimes it feels a bit forced. It's like, tone it down a bit. It's not quite right. But overall, he's a wonderfully weird character, and obviously he double crosses them. I mean, I could tell from the beginning that he was a dodgy guy. Of course, he's not to be trusted. I knew that from the beginning. BB-8 has some great moments in this film too, when he's operating the AT Walker. That was quite funny. That was cool. And also when he's throwing the coins out to the guard, that was great. The CGI was mostly very good. The only times I didn't quite believe the CGI were the Fathiers, those horses that bite. I don't know if you guys would agree with me. That was the only time I felt the CGI was a bit, yeah.
Like, whether at the casino or they're riding on the horses in the racetrack.
Yeah.
Yeah, not the greatest of CGI, but I didn't mind it.
Yeah, no, it's not terrible, but it just wasn't as convincing takeaway from the movie. The action is all. I'd say the opening battle's great. I'm trying to remember all the action scenes. The Saga gets thrown out of the ship. Was quite shocking at first. So I was worried she was going to die, as in the movie. But thankfully that wasn't to be the case. And when she the ship, I thought that was a lovely moment, and we hear Leia's theme playing as well. I love that.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, and actually it's sad because obviously Carrie Fisher's no longer with us, and then she's in a coma for most of the rest of, which is quite sad, really. And obviously the ending is sad because we know we're not going to see her again in episode 9. So I'm assuming the opening there'll be some kind of funeral for her, maybe, or maybe at the opening. So who knows? I mean, either way, she has to be written out. So,
yeah.
And if they recast her, then that is going to disrespect. And I don't think they would do that. But even if they did, disrespectful. John Williams' score. Episode 9 should be his last score, though, because I think, he's getting on a bit, and I think he needs to retire. And he needs to have a nice rest. He has a huge legacy behind him, and you can see now he's kind of running out of ideas for the score. Although the most noticeable film is the Finn and Rose theme, the da 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 da. That was good. The other great too, obviously, the reintroduction of Yoda's theme was great, and the Yoda's brilliant. That took me by surprise. I did not expect that, and I'm glad that they did that. It was nice to have Yoda back, and especially as he's a puppet now, and he's not a boring CGI buffoon like he is in the prequels. So that was lovely, and the scene with Luke was great. And as Alan said, there was some great lines like when he says, "Let them have you, page turners. They were not." That was a great, very, very lovely scene. I thought the film was paced rather well. It's the longest Star Wars movie at 2.5 hours, but it didn't feel like it. It really didn't. And regarding Snoke, I was very, very impressed that we got to see Snoke, in his physical form, because in The Force Awakens he was just a hologram. He has 3 scenes in the movie, which is slightly, it's not very many scenes, but we get to see him as a threat. Obviously when the scene at the beginning when he's undermining Kylo Ren, that was powerful. And then
yeah, that's one of the few scenes in the movie that I don't have any complaints with.
Yeah, well, that's good. And Andy Serkis gives a great performance as always. Scene when he gets killed. The first time I saw the movie, I was kind of like, what?
Exactly.
Okay, he's dead. Yes. considering we know nothing about him and he's not really had many scenes to shine, this is bizarre. They've killed Snoke in the middle movie of the trilogy. Huh? I looked at my friend and we were like, what the fuck? I mean, it was shocking. It was great. I mean, the scene was very well directed and it was incoming. And then we have that great action scene with fighting the guards, which is awesome.
Yeah, the Baturium guards were awesome. I can't deny. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, just when you think that. Yeah.
Sorry to interrupt you. Like, even though like you were talking about Snoke dying there, and you're saying like this feels like the end of a trilogy rather than the middle. I don't really mind that. I mean, my
no, that was not me.
All right. Oh, sorry. Yeah, Harry. Like when you said that, I mean, I don't really mind that because for me, like my mum said, and I agree with her, it felt more like a complete story than like, oh, you're gonna have to wait to the next film for the story to really end. Like that's what I liked about them killing off Snoke and plot twists. Yeah.
On one hand, I'm kind of disappointed more about the character, but on the other hand, I thought, okay, wow, this is quite. It was a good twist. Yeah, and I mean, it was quite. Didn't get to know. The scene was very well played, and it was didn't see it coming whatsoever. But there's the moment after the fight where you think that Kylo Ren is going to turn good, but then 180 and reveals that he's only killed Snoke just so he can be in charge. And I think by this point we have to assume that yeah, he's lost it. Kylo Ren has well and truly lost it. So yeah. And then the final battle down on Crate is a very epic battle, and like with all the red salts that appear everywhere when they're fighting, I think it's very colourful. It's a very colourful Star Wars movie, I must say. I also think that when the Falcon enters the battle, that's awesome. When Rey pilots the Falcon down into the red pit of crystals, that was really awesome. And the music, when John Williams brought back the Millennium Falcon theme, the dun 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 dun. I sat in the cinema with my jaw dropped at that point. I thought, wow, and I was very impressed with that final battle. And obviously, the final moment when sacrificed himself, and then Rose. As I said, the line is cheesy after that, but yeah. You're still laughing about it. It was a nice moment when fighted at the end. The ending definitely leaves a lot of questions still to be answered in episode 9. Also, the ending's very intriguing because we still don't know who that boy is, and I wonder if we're going to find out in episode 9. You know, maybe Rey is not to be the last Jedi. Maybe Rey is to die in episode 9, and maybe this boy is to be the New Hope. I mean, who knows? Who knows? It's all for JJ out now with episode 9. But do you think that could be a potential Rey could die, maybe?
No way.
I don't want her to die.
I mean, I don't want her to die, but do you reckon? Do you think they might consider it?
I don't think so. I don't think they'll actually do it. No.
Fair enough.
I doubt they would. I figure we've had plenty of Star Wars characters killed off at this point.
Yeah. I mean, obviously Leia has to be killed off screen, but other than that, there's nobody else that really should die.
I don't think so.
Yeah. I mean, overall, there's not much else to say about The Last Jedi. Also, I've mentioned Maz Kanata has a cameo as well. When they ask her about the code breaker, she's like involved in some kind of at the time. And that's quite funny. C-3PO says, oh my, it sounds like this code breaker can do anything. Oh yes, he can. That's a nice little innuendo there. Um, there's another which Leia says, and she says, "Wipe that nervous face, 3PO." And he's like, "Oh, I will certainly try." Nervous. I thought that was quite good as well. Yeah, and obviously, as you said, the Luke and Kylo Ren was brilliant, and Luke's last line is "See you around, kid." That was great. That was great. He finally did a one-up on him, and that was perfect. And Luke's death was done as the best as it could be. I mean, originally I didn't want that to happen, but yeah, okay, fair enough. If you had to do it, this is the best way you could do it, and his arc is complete. The first time I was pissed off, but the next time I managed to do it that way. And it was Last Jedi was, and I'm excited for Episode 9. What excites me, what I thought was going to happen in Episode 9 is probably not going to happen. We now have a blank canvas, and it could go any way. J.J. Abrams' hands, and he's got to resolve this trilogy. He's got to wrap it up. Considering The Last Jedi changed a lot, this would be a vesting outcome. So yeah, I would close off this by rating 10 out of 10. It's one of my favorite Star Wars movies. I really was surprised by it, and I enjoyed it a lot. So that's pretty much it. Before we go, we will talk briefly about the new trailer for Solo, A Star Wars Story, the next anthology movie. I'll and go with Harry. So Harry, what's your trailer?
Oh yeah, I have reviewed this trailer, and to me, this trailer looks awful. This movie is so unnecessary. Disney, they're just turning Star Wars into, the MCU. They're just getting crazy. They're buying absolutely everything, and they're turning Star Wars into a cash cow now. We don't need to see Han Solo's backstory.
Hey Harry, it's utterly ridiculous.
Utterly ridiculous. Exactly. Exactly, and that's and the trailer, it shows absolutely nothing new that we haven't seen in Star Wars before. Just Han Solo, Chewie, the Millennium Falcon, some casino planets, some snowy planets, some desert planets. We haven't seen that before. Sarcasm, but and
do you reckon it's Canto Bight?
It could be. That could be a reference to Canto Bight. But damn, I hope they don't bring back that damn planet again in Star Wars. But the new dude they've got to play Han Solo, that pissed me the fuck off that they recast Han Solo. Only Harrison Ford is Han Solo in my eyes, and also just and Emilia Clarke and Domhnall Glover. This movie is just. I think it's going to flop. It's going to bomb hard, and it's going to be a bad idea from the start. This movie, they should just we can just skip this movie and just get hyped for Episode 9.
Can live without it.
Yep, it doesn't need to exist. We can live without it, exactly.
Right. Say on it, or is there?
And also, I can't believe the creators, Phil Lord and Christopher Miller of the Lego Movie, and Ron Howard, Hollywood legend, actually are making this thing.
Yeah. So, Jack, what do you think of the trailer?
Well, to be honest, pretty much nothing. It was a crap trailer. It didn't show us anything about the movie, and what I did see of the movie, I was not very impressed with at all. I mean, the guy that got his Han Solo, I mean, to be honest, he looks a little bit like a young Harrison Ford, but not that much. And he sounds nothing like Harrison Ford. I'm not saying he should do a straight out Harrison Ford impression, but at least put something into it. And I don't know. I
Yeah.
just don't see the point of this movie. To be honest, I really don't see a point of a Han Solo movie. I mean, like, do we really need to see his backstory? I mean, he was introduced in The New Hope, and we knew that he was he was a smuggler, and that he didn't like the Empire, and he was sort of a little bit of a rogue kind of guy. It's like, do we really need a whole backstory and how he became Han Solo and blah blah blah? It's like, it's pointless. It's really pointless, and I'm really scared with, like, the things I've been hearing. Like, originally they're gonna say that Han Solo wasn't his real name or whatever, and I mean, the ideas Disney have been chucking about have been really bad, and getting Phil Lord and Christopher Miller and then firing them like 90%, after they film like 90% of the movie, and then getting Ron Howard in, it just, I mean, it just seems like a mess. It seems like an absolute mess, and even though I enjoyed the Lego Movie and I've enjoyed Ron Howard stuff in the past, it's like, I really don't know how the hell the fuck they're gonna salvage it. I mean, it may be good, um, but I don't really have any expectations for this film. I mean, I'll probably be passable at best. I mean, it may be really good, might surprise us all, but I don't see the point of a Han Solo movie. And to me, Harrison Ford, he is really the only Han Solo in my opinion. He's no one else can really replace Harrison Ford as Han Solo. Like, I mean, what are we gonna have next? Like, I mean,
Except Harrison.
I mean, if this does well, are they gonna do a trilogy of this new guy? No. I mean, I just
Oh, no.
Harrison Ford to me is Han Solo. So I don't see the point of this movie really. I really don't see the point. So yeah. I think, if this film sucks, it's gonna bomb, and Disney, I mean, I just think, I mean, I love Star Wars, don't get me wrong. I love Star Wars, but there's a thing called cash cow and milking something, and this is just I think this is just the emphasis of cash cow and milking a franchise. We don't need a Han Solo movie. I mean, we don't even need a fucking Jabba the Hutt movie. They've already announced a Jabba the Hutt movie. I mean, what the fuck are you gonna have him doing? Sitting around in the fucking palace for a whole movie or two? We don't need this.
Well, as I said to you earlier, Jack, they may as well have just put Jabba the Hutt in the Han Solo movie, because that's kind of parts that we need to know about Jabba. But,
Yeah, I mean, they were thinking of doing a gangster kind of movie of with Jabba the Hutt, which it doesn't sound bad, but it's like, Jabba the Hutt's a fucking slug. You're gonna make a movie about this giant fat slug, like, I just think Disney they really need to look at themselves, give themselves a hard rethink. They're bringing in Indiana Jones 5 in a couple of years. That's gonna be, oh god, like, I mean,
no.
stop cash cowing and fucking milking franchises. I mean, I would be fine with Star Wars
Other
film,
than James
a new
Bond.
Star Wars film every 2 years, or just do films about new characters that we never met. Do stories about new characters that we never met or whatever. Not fucking Han Solo. We don't need this. Yeah, that's my opinion anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, the trailer, it just did nothing for me. It was crap. I mean, it showed us nothing of the movie, and from what I did see, I was not impressed. So I don't know. This could go either way for me. It could either be great, absolutely terrible, or just meh. So yeah.
Fair enough. Alan.
Okay, trailer for Solo: A Star Wars Story. It's a Star Wars movie nobody asked for. It's not really a Star Wars movie that's necessary to put in your Star Wars collection, but they're giving it to us anyway. Looking at the trailer, I think it shows promise. I mean, it could still be a solid, fun movie. I'm not completely sold on the guy playing the young Han Solo. And because, I mean, he doesn't look like Harrison Ford. He doesn't sound like Harrison Ford.
Not only that, but he had to get acting lessons on the set of the film as well, which isn't good.
That's the story, that he needed an acting coach or something like that. I mean, I don't know if that's true or not, but I don't know. I'm not completely sold on him as the young Han Solo. In
Yeah.
fact, talking about this Canadian actor named Anthony Ingruber, who's like 28 years old, and he looks exactly like a young Harrison Ford. And he put a video up on YouTube where he's doing Han Solo's first lines in the cantina, and you'd swear
Oh,
he's a
I've
young.
seen those. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and everybody's saying, dude, if you had just shown up for the audition for this movie, they would have handed you the role of the young Han Solo on a silver platter, you know. But this other guy that we've got now playing Han Solo, I don't know. I'm not totally convinced. Not yet. We'll just have to watch him in the whole movie before I can make.
Apparently, this guy Anthony Cooper did audition, but Disney said no because he wasn't big enough of a name or whatever.
He
But this other
was
guy,
at the audition.
what?
He was at the audition, and they didn't cast him. Really?
Yeah,
But
yeah.
he
Apparently,
looks like Harrison Ford. He looks like him. He sounds like him.
they said though that he wasn't big enough of a name.
Well, neither's this
So,
guy.
yeah,
Yeah, who the fuck is this guy they
Yeah.
cast? He's not even an actor.
I've never heard of him before. Yeah, this guy that they have cast. What, I don't even remember his name. It's like Emmerlich something Emmerlich.
Alden Ehrenreich.
Yeah, I've never heard
yeah.
of him. But anyway, like I said, we'll wait and see the movie, and who knows, maybe he actually will be good. But I'm just not completely sold on him just yet. Other than that, I don't mind a young Han Solo movie. I mean, I think it would be kind of cool to see how his friendship with Lando began, how his friendship with Chewbacca began. As long as maybe, I mean, I'm sincerely hoping that they're going to give the whole thing with the Death Star a rest for this movie, and who knows, maybe we won't even see any Jedi or any lightsabers. It'll be just a lot of gunplay. Maybe like a Western in outer space. I think that's how they're touting this movie.
Hey, Alan, what about the rumors? I mean, there's Disney story ideas that they were going to say that Han Solo wasn't even going to be his name in this film. Would that annoy you if they did that?
It kind of would be, yeah, if it turns out that's not his real name. if he's called something else, yeah, I don't know what to make of that. I'm aware of all the production problems that this movie had. I mean, they hired the two guys who directed the Lego movie, and then they got fired just a few weeks before they were supposed to finish. I'm sure they're very talented guys, but I mean, I don't know what the Kathleen Kennedy expected.
Apparently, they made it too jokey, and that's why Disney fired them. Like,
the report is that they tried to put too much humor in the movie, that they went a little overboard about it, including going off script. So that's why they got fired. So now they bring in Ron Howard to clean up the mess, but apparently Howard is delivering the movie that they want delivered, and he is a very good director. Not that I've enjoyed everything he's directed, but I've certainly enjoyed a lot of his movies. I mean,
Apollo 13.
Well, I mean, Apollo 13 is one of my all-time favorite movies. Yeah, so that's one example. I liked A Beautiful Mind, Russell Crowe and Jennifer Connelly. So he's proven himself as a filmmaker, that's for sure. It could be fun. It could still work. I'm going to go in there with my expectations all the way down to the floor. And I'm not expecting to see the greatest Star Wars movie ever made, but just hopefully something that's fun.
Yeah.
And just,
I think I'm going to go in with no.
I'm just expecting to see just a good popcorn muncher, and all that I ask is that it be better than the prequels.
Yeah.
I think that's just the rate everybody has now. At least if they're better than the prequels, then that's okay.
Yeah,
the prequels.
Yeah, just be better than the prequels, and I'll be happy. That's all.
Shit. Yeah.
Yeah. I'd also like to chime in about what some people have said now about Star Wars, that maybe the franchise is starting to suffer from franchise fatigue because they're pumping out all these Star Wars movies. I mean, there was a time when we only got a Star Wars movie once every 3 years, and now with this new trilogy, it was once every 2 years. But then you throw in the anthology films, it's like we're getting a Star Wars movie every year now. On the one hand, I'm not complaining. I mean, I am a Star Wars fan. I mean, sure, I'll go see any Star Wars movie that they make, no problem. But at the same time, I can also sense that that it may be a bit much, and there is that saying that goes, you can get too much of a good thing.
Yeah, I think Star Wars, to be honest, even though I'm a big fan as well, they should probably just do it once every 2 years. Or Disney, like, if this film fails, just take a real long, hard look and say to yourself, well, we don't really need a Jabba the Hutt movie. We don't really need a,
I think scrap the anthology movies. Obviously they've got to do the last episode 9, but then Rian Johnson's doing another trilogy. I think that will be enough.
Yeah.
Scrap the anthology movies. You don't really need them. I mean, that was fine, but the other ones, no, you don't need them.
I mean, I enjoyed Rogue One. I thought Rogue One worked, just fine, and I like that one better than the prequels. I agree with you, Ollie, that it's the best prequel movie ever made. This franchise, Rogue One. So
yeah.
Rogue One worked for me. I just don't know if we needed a young Han Solo movie, so we'll see how well this one does. I think there's only talk of a Jabba the Hutt movie, because actually now I think the talk is about making a Ben Kenobi movie.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I really don't.
Well, Jack, when did you hear that they were making a Jabba the Hutt movie?
Oh, a while back, my friend said it to me, and Louis confirmed that they were talking about doing it. I mean,
I never heard an announcement about it.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I also heard talk about a Boba Fett movie. That was another thing that they were talking about.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, there's a lot of movies are planned. They probably won't announce any of these films until after the next spin-off film is over.
And I don't believe. I don't believe that. I think that's a load of bullshit.
Well, you could say that, but they could do that. I mean, they're making a Boba Fett movie and a Ben Kenobi movie. I mean, they could make a Jabba the Hutt movie as well. That's the thing. They're doing all these spin-offs. But I mean,
make a movie about a fucking gonk droid.
Well, I mean, the thing is, what could you do for Ben Kenobi movie? Oh yeah, we're gonna
Well, they're trying to get Ewan McGregor.
Yeah, but what's he gonna be doing between Revenge of the Sith and A New Hope? Just sitting in a house for 20 years?
Desert.
Well, yeah, it could be that he did go on some far adventure, one adventure sometime between Revenge of the Sith and A New Hope. Possible.
But the only thing about that movie the good thing would be we get to see Luke grow up. We get to see him growing up. But even then, necessary. I mean, we wouldn't need another Jake Lloyd actor coming in to do.
No, but I'm not lying here. There are talks of a Jabba the Hutt movie. They haven't confirmed it yet. The same thing, they haven't confirmed a Boba Fett or a Ben Kenobi movie yet. You just have to wait until they actually come out.
Yeah.
And say it, but
I think the Jabba the Hutt film isn't going to happen. Personally,
I mean, personally, I think the Ben Kenobi movie is the sounding of all of them. I'd love to see you come back to play Kenobi one more time. So I'd be all for that if they were to do that kind of.
I just don't see a point. It would be funny if they did just make a Ben Kenobi movie after A New Hope, and he's just sitting in his house for 20 years. I mean, I don't know, just roaming the desert.
I mean, the thing is that once they wrap up this latest trilogy with Episode 9, and then we get the young Han Solo movie. We've already had Rogue One, and the possibility of at least one more standalone anthology movie. Okay, that's going to be a good solid dozen Star Wars movies, 12 Star Wars movies. It might be a good idea at that point to give the franchise another lengthy rest before they start it up again. I mean, I know they're already planning some other movies. I mean, Rian Johnson, they've already got him on board to come up with a completely different trilogy that takes place in a completely different part of
that's the thing. You could say, the Jabba the Hutt movie or, the Ben Kenobi movie, it's bullcrap. It's never going to happen. But they're pumping these movies out each year. I mean,
I know about the other ones, but I just don't movie will happen purely because of Solo Star Wars story.
I know.
I think
they'll be getting desperate for ideas if they're just pumping a film out every year. So,
I mean, I'm all for more Star Wars movies. Okay, I mean, I am a fan.
Yeah.
I'm just saying it might be a good idea to give the franchise another lengthy rest after this latest batch of movies is done, before Rian Johnson gives us his planned trilogy of movies. I think they've got a couple of writers who worked on Game of Thrones planning another trilogy of Star Wars movies that takes place in yet another different quadrant.
Oh, Jesus, really?
Yeah.
10, 11 episodes, 10, 11,
Republic, like the old Republic, going way back in time, before Episode 1.
Well, aren't they going to do episodes 10, 11, and 12?
That's still a possibility, although we may not see that for many years.
Yeah.
Maybe they'll do the same thing for Rey and Finn and Poe, like they did for Luke, Leia, and Han. We'll see them again, but it'll be like 30 years later. So yeah, episodes 10, 11, and 12, that's still a possibility, but I don't think that'll happen anytime real soon.
No. Episode 9 is. And where the story ends.
That's right. But
a trilogy after this, because we're nearly at the end of it. We're like halfway through it. Well, 2/3 of the way through it. But another trilogy after that. I'm sorry, but fuck off, Disney, please. I don't need
strong words.
but
I don't need 9 Star Wars films. Jesus.
It'll be a completely different set of characters. It'll have nothing to do with the Skywalkers.
I know, but I mean, we'll just get. I'm just saying, we'll be Star Wars. Do we really need these many
Jack,
Star Wars?
We are talking years down the line here.
Yeah, I know we're talking years, but I mean, I love Star Wars. Don't get me wrong, but I just think we don't need this many. Jesus, I mean,
I'm feeling the love.
I mean, 15 official Star Wars films plus the spin-offs. Well,
we've got 13 Star Trek movies. We got
I know, but I mean,
movies.
I know, but I mean, come on, but look at the MCU recently. People are getting sick of that.
It's the same with every franchise. Every franchise is going to go down the same route.
Well, not necessarily, but yeah.
As it continues to make money, they're going to keep making those movies.
Yeah. Well, look, they're making the Fantastic Beasts movies. They're doing the MCU. They're doing the DCU. They're doing Bond is different, but as long as Bond is still around, I'll be all right.
Yeah.
Well, I like Star Wars. I'm just saying I don't think we need these many films.
Yeah.
I
agree with you, but to be honest, there's no point saying that because they'll still do it anyway.
Well, I mean, there kind of is. If you protest against it, you can't.
Or just give another lengthy hiatus before they do it again. Just give people in general a break before they start the machine again.
They might not though, because I don't know. Disney at the MCU has been going 11 years, and Jesus, 10 years actually this year with Iron Man.
Okay.
I'm siding with Jack. After Episode 9, there's no more story you could tell with Star Wars. So episodes 10 to 12, we don't need to know what happens.
Not only that, but it's then we'll have 13, 14, and 15. It's just
exactly.
It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. I mean, I'm a big Star Wars fan, but there's just a point where you need the franchise to end. I thought, Return of the Jedi was a perfect ending. Then you had Revenge of the Sith, which was a good ending. And I thought, right, that's it. The story's done. After Return of the Jedi. But then we had Force Awakens, which I liked, but it wasn't particularly necessary. Now we have Episode 8, and now I just think the fact that they're planning ahead already to episode the trilogy after a trilogy that they've only proposed, they haven't even done yet. It's ridiculous. Really, Disney. And Disney coming out and saying we're going to make MCU films to for the next 20 years. It's nobody wants this. Don't plan that far ahead.
Yeah, but Star Wars feels complete as 3 trilogies. That goes to show Disney have now become just con artists. They're just thinking with their wallets 24/7.
Well, Jack, you know what to do. You can save your money.
You'll see. I mean, it all depends on the box office returns. If there ever comes a day when people stop going to see these movies, then that's the day they'll stop making them.
Though, also there'll be a new generation that comes along each time. There's 3 generations now of Star Wars. The early generation, the prequel generation, and now the sequel trilogy generation. So, and in each time, there will be fans forever. So there will always be a fan base. But yeah, I mean, the best thing to do with this is if they want to carry on the series, do Bond, do one film every 3 or 4 years or something. Then that way we're not so fatigued. We can look forward to them. Like, I'm happy for Bond movies to come out every 3 or 4 years, and I think Star Wars should do the same rather than do one a year. I mean, I'll watch them as long as they're good, but the fatigue, that would be a better idea.
I think Disney have just got greedy for your money. I mean, they bought over Fox now. I mean, they already own like a big proportion of the movie industry.
They don't own you though, Jack.
Yeah, well, they never will. Oh, yeah. I mean, I think apparently it's a rumor at the moment with Jabba the Hutt, but apparently there's a lot of things pointing at being real.
No, I can't see it happening, but fair enough. We'll see what happens, but I doubt it will happen, but oh well. I know that there'll be loads more Star Wars movies, so it doesn't matter anyway.
Because they're making money, a whole lot of spending money. Yeah.
I got money on my mind.
Money, yeah.
Yeah. In terms of what I think of the trailer, basically I think it sucks.
Yes.
I'll go and see the movie because I'm a Star Wars fan, and I'm intrigued by it. I can't deny it. I'm intrigued by it. It does visually look pleasing. All I ask is to find something, a popcorn flick you can just sit down and not have to think about too much. I kind of don't Star Wars movie, which is going to be difficult. But there we go. We shall see how it turns out. I'm not convinced by the actor that they've cast. I'm not really convinced by the story. It's just not necessary. But hey, it's a couple of hours to spend at the movies, so we'll see. But I don't hold out much hope that this will be remotely good. Okay.
And there's going to be no tension in this Han Solo movie because we know Han Solo's going to live to see the so we know he's never going to die.
Yeah, well, not until episode 7 anyway.
Yeah. Gosh.
Yeah, that is a fair point.
But it's there to see his beginnings and to see how he and Lando met, how he and Chewbacca met. Yeah, they may or may not include the.
We'll see Han's parents.
They might include the Kessel Run. So.
By the way, did anybody see? I don't know if you watched this, but Red Letter Media, they did this thing called the Nerd Crew, and it's fucking hilarious. They're like reacting to the Solo trailer before it came out, like it didn't exist. It's like it hasn't been leaked yet. It's like they were like doing a parody of like Collider videos and all those people like with microphones and like who like promote the shit out of Star Wars, and like, oh my god, we're finally seeing how the Kessel Run happened. Oh my god, this is the greatest movie I've ever seen. Like, yeah. Oh god.
I still say they were full of shit and being so mean to Rogue One. I mean, they hated Rogue One.
They also hated The Last Jedi, but I don't know.
Well, a lot of people seem to hate The Last Jedi.
But oh well. It's funny.
Yeah. Well, unless anyone wants to say anything else, I think we'll call that a night.
All right.
Is there anything else anyone wants to say?
I'm done.
Harry?
It's on you, J.J. Abrams. You make episode 9 the best it can be.
Make Star Wars great again.
And that's not a request.
Good luck, JJ.
Yeah, you're gonna need it.
Like, just like someone get out Donald Trump saying, "Make Star Wars great again."
If not, JJ will be building a wall outside his house to keep the fans away from. Oh, good.
Yeah.
God. Anyway, thank you guys all for watching and listening. This has been, and stay tuned for more in the future. I'm Ollie, this is Alan, Harry, and Jack, and see ya.